What's good, everybody, and welcome to the Anything Anime podcast. And this isn't just any normal podcast. Today is a very, very special day as we are beginning we've began our One Piece journey. And this is a long time coming. Let's be completely honest here. One Piece has been a long time coming for both of us because we talked about it. A lot of people said that, me especially, I was corny for not watching One Piece. And we finally decided that this is a new year. Happy New Year to everyone. I know it's like the 4th day of New Year. Might be the 5th depending on when you're watching this. We decided to finally go and start our One Piece journey. And man, it is a lot that we have to go over. A lot that we definitely have to go over. But before we get into anything, I want to ask, because we haven't made a podcast since last year. How are you? How are you feeling? How are you feeling about this first episode? I guess this is gonna be This is gonna be an episodic thing because we are gonna everything One Piece. I know we started watching the anime so far, but we are planning to read the manga eventually at some point. I know some people would suggest that we start the manga as soon as now, so we probably will get on that sooner rather than later. But everything One Piece you can find here in regards to our journey and how we get to that 1,000 episode mark, because we got a long ways to go. But yeah, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about this jam-packed podcast that we're about to get into?
I'm excited. I actually enjoyed watching the show. We didn't think that we were gonna watch One Piece so soon, but we got called corny and we wasn't real anime watchers, so we was like, why not watch the best anime,
according to a lot of people.
Yeah, let's see what we're missing out on. So I'm pretty excited. I'm glad to be back because we haven't filmed since last year, so I'm excited. How are you feeling?
I'm being good, like you've been talking about. Starting One Piece, we weren't necessarily planning to start it as soon as we did. We actually started on New Year's Day, so we got straight to the point. We might as well start. We got so much more to actually watch and get into, so much content within One Piece to actually get into. So we said, why not start now? And actually, I'm pretty glad we got off to a start because we actually were able to get through the first saga pretty quickly, even though there's some sagas that have a lot of episodes. This one was a relatively easy watch, so I'm kind of glad we got into it as soon as we did.
I am too, especially since last year or the last few months of last year, it was a lot of anime going on, so it kind of slowed down a little bit. Things are going to be starting back up soon, so we're trying to fit everything in before we busy with whatever anime that we're watching, and still old anime that we have to finish up and things like that. So I feel like it's a good time for us to do it. This is probably the best, especially before spring, for real.
Yeah, spring is very packed in terms of anime, so why not when there's a little bit of a dead space?
Yeah.
There's still going to be shows that we watch here and there, but a little bit of a
definitely.
dead space in the winter season for anime. But like I mentioned, this is going to be a jam-packed podcast. I know a lot of One Piece fans might stumble across this, so if this is your first podcast watching us, please don't eat us up in the comments. we actually took down a lot of notes. I know that Bree specifically, she wrote down a lot of notes. I'm more of a mental note kind of person, so a lot of those.
My memory is bad, so I took notes. Grammar police, don't get on us if we pronounce somebody's name wrong. Just remind us about the pronunciation of names and things like that, and just spare us a little bit. we knew. And welcome to the channel if you are new. My name is Bree.
And Xavier here.
Yes. People, I don't know if people actually know our names.
Yeah.
I don't think we say it a lot, but I hope you guys can get familiar with it. It's pretty simple. So, yeah. Welcome to our channel.
So,
hope you guys stick around and subscribe if you end up liking us. So.
Definitely. I know a lot of people look forward to a lot of people's first experiences or first impressions when it comes to popular anime, like One Piece is one of them. I know a lot of people look forward to seeing people's perspectives on Naruto or Bleach and stuff like that. Definitely. We happen to have some, or we've watched Naruto. So we have knowledge on that. But Bleach is another show where we potentially will be getting into and doing our own individual podcast sort of side series, I guess you would call this.
Yeah.
We'll
like
do,
a sub-series.
yeah, pretty much to the main podcast for our channel. But really, really excited to get into this. So much to unload and unpack. Again, this is going to be quite the long podcast, so if you are this is also good for those who may be drawn off from One Piece. Maybe we spark your interest into watching One Piece. There's going to be some spoilers here, so we will let you know now. There are going to be parts that we talk about in depth within One Piece, at least within the first saga that we watch, the East Blue Saga. So if you haven't watched One Piece or you want to catch up, or more like a recap kind of thing, you can listen to this podcast as well. Yeah, if this is your first time hearing about One Piece, or hopefully us talking about it can pique your interest into the series, because I think it's, from what we've watched so far, at least from my perspective, it is sort of worth a watch. I don't know if everybody has time to watch 1,000 episodes, but
Yeah, it is a lot of binging, and we're used to like binging anime, but we never watched something this long. Like this is the longest. And granted, we watched like Naruto and stuff, but like I watched that growing up, and we watched that when it was still airing. So I mean, One Piece still airing, but it's different,
way past,
completely different. So and
it's kind of crazy because we were doing our research before we actually started. We did not know that it started in 1999. So this series is older than us by a year, which is crazy.
That's
we were both
crazy.
Born in 2000. So the anime started, and from what we saw, it started in 1999. So that is crazy to still go on now in 2024.
That's
insane.
Nuts.
That's
and
insane.
To still have that same hype, or probably even more now, since
especially with all the new stuff that we know. We're not, we don't know anything about the new stuff, but seeing so many people still talk about it to this day, that is very, very crazy.
Definitely. It's pretty iconic, I can't lie. And that's why we were like, if so many people enjoy the show and it's so highly regarded, we might as well watch it.
Pretty much.
Like, what are we missing out on? So,
and there's no point of having an anime podcast channel without having knowledge of one of the biggest series that there are.
Exactly.
So really, really excited to get into this. So we can start from the beginning. We're also going to do like a little timestamp thing for each arc within each saga. Within this one, I think there were 6 arcs. And I know there was one non-canon. We did not watch that one non-canon yet. Please don't get on us for that.
We watched a little.
Yeah, we didn't watch. Yeah, so we got to the main parts of the saga, East Blue Saga. So hopefully the non-canon arc isn't too important to the story. It's not canon, so it shouldn't be that important.
It's just like a little.
It probably just showcases more of the characters,
and their personality and stuff
about
like that.
them. Yeah, but starting from the beginning. I actually have all the arcs here. I'm not going to remember off the top of my head.
Not at all. We just watched it. It's only the 4th now. We started on New Year's Day, so we trying to, keep all this information retained and things like that. We don't want to get nothing wrong. So we will be looking down at our notes occasionally, but
So, starting things off, we have the Romance Dawn arc, and I believe those were episodes 1 through 3.
Okay.
So with the Romance Dawn arc, we get a bit of, just an introduction to Luffy and everything that was going on within, just getting introduced to some of the characters, or some of the pivotal characters to One Piece, getting an understanding of Luffy, we didn't necessarily meet the main. We saw, Nami getting introduced to her in this arc. We also got introduced to. Did we get introduced to Zoro within the first 3 episodes? I don't think so. No, yes, we did. We did, because remember he was
tied up.
Yeah, he was. We got introduced to Zoro.
It was a few characters. The evil lady, I forgot her name, but we got introduced to her. Yeah. And it was basically just they did a good job with introducing us.
I would say that the first couple episodes was pretty good in terms of showcasing Luffy and what his character is going to be, because even from the first episode to the point where we're watching now, Luffy has pretty much stayed the same in terms of his personality, and I think I like that a lot. You know, you don't necessarily see too many changes within, you know, main characters like that, like Naruto. You know, you see development within those characters, but they kind of stay within themselves in terms of their personality and, you know, how they are as a person. And we kind of just get an understanding of who Luffy is and how he's going to be in the series moving forward. You know, he's a very nonchalant. I wouldn't say nonchalant. I would say he's a very
he's blunt.
Yes, very. He's straight to the point. I'll say he's very straight to the point.
I know. I remember that he mentioned that he's not a good liar, or he can't lie. Yeah. So he ended up being way more blunt, and it could come off a bit like he's not being sympathetic in certain moments, and it's kind of like, oh yikes. But you know, I kind of like his bluntness.
And then with the sympathetic, the sympathy, he does have moments in the like the first. I wouldn't say the first couple. I just say within the saga in itself. You know, there's moments where he shows empathy. You know, there's moments where, especially when we get into the Arlong Park Arc, he showcases how much he actually cares for the people that he cares for, his friends. He actually does show that he will fight for them, and you know, if you hurt one of his friends, he will whoop you,
to say the least.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like he definitely does show empathy in different moments in his own way. Like, you know, when it came to the what was his name?
Kobe.
Yes, when it came to Kobe, you know, he did what he did to protect him, or to, I should say, not protect him, but he helped him get into the Marines.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, you know, when so that whole part where he when they asked Kobe if he was a part of Luffy's crew, you know, Kobe was stuck in that moment because he didn't know what to say. He didn't want to say it, and he couldn't get into the Marines. So Luffy helping him out to, you know, that was his dream, to get into the Marines. So Luffy helping him out and to help him get his dream and to begin his process into getting into the Marines.
Definitely
was very, very dope to see, as a lot of characters, especially Luffy. Again, Luffy, a character that he does not read the room. Let's be honest. A lot of situations he does not read the room. So
he really speak his mind before he, you know. It seemed like sometimes he just be speaking without thinking. Yeah. And he might. I don't know. It seemed like
there's a lot of moments where we see Luffy just be very dumb.
Yeah.
let's be honest here. Luffy has a lot of dumb moments. But again, just to see that he actually has awareness within that. Like he's aware of certain situations, and again, that Kobe situation and helping him getting into the Marines was a very self-aware moment for him. So I do appreciate there being parallels to, okay, he doesn't read the room, but he has moments where he can read the room.
Yeah,
you know?
And he actually does. Like, he's just not an emotionless character. Like, I would say when he feel like he has some sort of trust in a character, or you feel like you want to work with them, I feel like then that's where the attachment come in. So that's when he want to help them. Same with like when he met Zoro. Is that in this one or in the next?
No, I think that's in this one, because they're in this one. I believe in this one we see Zoro, and they then they go into Orangetown.
Okay.
And Orangetown is when we'll get into Orangetown, but the first couple episodes is when he meets Zoro, and Zoro is locked up. Right. Is it locked? He was pretty much tied up. Pretty much locked up, if we're being completely honest.
Yeah, so with that, he was definitely he found value in Zoro, and I'm not just saying he only help people he finds value in, but you know, starting off, he definitely, once he feel like he wants somebody a part of his team, or he just respect the person, he end up feeling for them and actually helping them out. So
the thing is like, initially, it didn't feel like Luffy wanted Zoro to be a part of his team. So once he found out,
who he was,
or really, even to the point where that little girl was helping Zoro out, because Zoro helped her out and her mother. That's the whole reason why he was locked up in the first place. Once Luffy found that out, he gained respect for him because he actually helped and he wanted him to be a part of his crew. So
exactly,
when he did, he wanted, once he found out he wanted him to be on his team, he was quick to help him. So I kind of respect that about Luffy, and you kind of see that with all the other people he asked to add to his team as well.
I think that just shows how much he values like friends and how he kind of see him like family, you know. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Who we see it with a lot.
But yeah, so Kobe, you know, we touched up on him a little bit. You know, initially when he first was introduced, I was like, dude, this dude just whines and complains. But I kind of see like, and I feel like they do this with a lot of characters. You see where they're going in terms of their character development within the show. Like, I can see a point where, you know, Kobe, he gets older and he actually becomes a Marine member. He's more courageous and, you know, more, plays more of a leadership role. Because, like, definitely. You see Kobe when he first comes into he's a lot more scared, and, you know, he was, timid. He was very, he was captive.
Right, he didn't know how to fight.
What is her name? What is her name?
We might have to look it up real quick.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. But he was captive. He was a prisoner, so he was held against his will. Let me find her name real quick though.
Yeah, to say that, I think that you know, he didn't know how to fight. Luffy had to help him. So I feel like since he will be a reoccurring character, it's really obvious he'll be in the Marines. I feel like the next time we'll see him, he'll be skilled in all aspects, not only matured, but skilled with fighting too. I'm curious to see how they will incorporate him in the future. You know, I think it'll be really cool.
Okay, Alvida.
Yeah. Okay.
So he was a prisoner for Alvida, and then you see, you know, when Luffy is introduced and he was in the monkey barrel and everything. I said monkey barrel. You know, it's crazy because I brought this up too. Yeah. It's kind of crazy how monkeys always have some sort of association, to like barrels or something.
I don't know.
Like Donkey Kong with barrels. It's just, and then Monkey D. Luffy having to come out of the barrel in the beginning.
You said it was a game that you played with monkeys in a barrel too, and I was like,
it's like a board game called like Monkeys in Barrels or something like that. I wonder if that was intentional or if that was just some sort of, you know, coincidence. But it was very interesting to see that little parallel. I did bring it up when we were watching it, but
if it's something we don't know about, you know, let us know. Do they be in barrels or something? Like, I don't know nothing about monkeys.
But we kind of get an understanding as to why he was in a barrel, because, you know, as we get more into the story and we find out, you know, why Luffy has his powers, we find out that he has stretchy powers, which is very interesting. We find out that, you know, when we get into his story with Shanks, and him having admiration for him, and, you know, seeing the little bit of a backstory that we got with that, him eating the devil fruit, the gum fruit, and learning that people who consume fruits or the devil fruits cannot swim, which is very crazy. Interesting. I think that's a very interesting drawback, especially with, you know, them being on sea.
Yes,
you know,
and I think that's 100%. The point.
And then I think that's a really good, you know, because the devil fruits are pretty strong. We see a lot of the people who have, you know, obtained devil fruit powers. They're very strong within the series. So you kind of have to have that drawback of, okay, how are we going to nerf these people? And the fact that they can't be in water or can't swim, I'll say, is I think it's a very neat drawback. A lot of times you just see, you get powered down, or your power is just taken away and you're just completely weak. So just to see that be the drawback is very, very, it's very unique, I'll say.
Yes, I was going to say. Like that. It's a very unique drawback because a lot of animes, it's very specific. And I think since, you know, they are on water a lot, that's a major drawback, and they're going to have to use or be very mindful of how they fight, because there's been a few times, and we'll get into that later, when it's been real dangerous because of the fact that he cannot swim. So I feel like you got to be way more tactical when you fight because of that, because they be on water like so far, like 80% of the time. Pretty much, yeah. So that's very dangerous, and it makes the fights a little bit more interesting, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, there's a lot of instances where that does come into play. Yes. But also within this arc, we get a glimpse of, you know, why Luffy is doing what his dream is. And why he's doing what he is doing. He wants to be the Pirate King. He wants to obtain the One Piece. Yes. And I think that's a very, very admirable thing, you know, being the king of the pirates. Very interesting to see how that journey will happen. If you have 1,000 episodes to get to that point, so I'm interested to see how they flesh that out a bit. And then other than that, trying to see what else happened within that.
No, is this because I'm getting them mixed up. Is this when he met Shanks during this arc, or was it after this arc where he talked about him? I'll say not met him, but
I think in the next arc is when they showed the backstory for Shanks and that little story and that happening.
So this just a little, just
it's
introduction,
pretty, like a little, pretty much showing Luffy and his dream and what he's trying to achieve,
and not just showing a few characters. Because we see Nami. I think was she in episode 1 stealing treasure and stuff.
Yeah, she was stealing.
So we see her as well. We didn't think much of her at first. We didn't know what was going on. So we don't have too much to say about her right now, but obviously once we get down the line, we'll talk about her more.
And if I'm looking at my phone, I'm just trying to recollect my thoughts on, not thoughts, but just trying to see certain characters' names and stuff like that I might be drawing a blank. This is a lot of episodes at once. So
I was just about to say we watched over 50 episodes in the span of 3 days. So if we have to look back at our notes, we're just trying to make sure we don't get nothing wrong. We want to be as accurate as possible.
So there's that. There was also the fight that he had with Morgan, just getting, I guess he's the first antagonist that we kind of, I guess Alvida, I guess is, technically the first fight that he had. And then you have the fight with Morgan and his son was ugly, disgusting. Oh my gosh,
I forgot about them. Actually,
his son, I don't even remember his son's name, but
I don't remember.
He was very nasty looking.
His head was crazy.
His head was crazy, but he fought Morgan, and it's interesting because later in the show we see why Morgan turned out the way he did, or so I think there's some, like, or at least I hope, maybe I'm making an assumption early or something, but why Morgan turned out the way he did. But that's pretty much it for the first couple of episodes, and then we go into, I believe it's Orangetown. Again, I'm trying to remember the name. Yeah, it's Orangetown. So we go Orangetown, which is episodes 4 through 8. But you were gonna say something.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I probably should have wrote down the arc, because I wrote down a lot of notes, but I didn't write down the arc. So that's why I'm like, did this happen in this arc or this arc? Is that when it get close to when we get introduced more into Zoro's story a little bit?
We did get into Zoro's stories. We did get into a story a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah. And Luffy a little bit, right?
Yeah, because they went over Shanks and Shanks being an inspiration to him and all that. Okay. But I also forgot for Zoro. We forgot to talk about his dream. He wants to be the greatest swordsman.
Yes.
And we gonna get into it when we talk about it, but that man got a tough road ahead of him for him to achieve that dream.
But what I didn't talk about when it comes to Zoro, he was already, like, he had a high reputation. Like, people were scared of him.
They were. They were calling him a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
A lot of people were fearful of him. Yeah. And he was already known around, he was already known.
Yeah, he got a reputation.
A good swordsman and, being a bounty hunter. So it's understandable as to why, some people were scared of him. He does look kind of scary.
He look nuts, especially when he ties his little do-rag on. He be looking real intimidating, but... and he got 3 swords. That's another cool thing. I never seen an anime character with 3 swords from my knowledge. The little mouth thing is really cool.
Yeah, I've never seen, at least from a fighting standpoint.
Yeah, not from what I remember.
Yeah, I've never seen somebody fight with 3 swords. So I think that's a very cool thing.
That's clean.
Zoro... Initially, Zoro was a clean introduction to me. I like Zoro's character. Yeah, and as the series goes on, I could find myself enjoying Zoro's character a lot. Yeah. I'm very interested to see how they, build up and see how he actually reaches his goal. Again, there's a certain fight that we had to get into that man have to go through some trials and tribulations to get there. Because, man.
Oh my
Man.
gosh, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's all. If we do end up doubling back on, the same arc, it's just because it's so much.
Yeah,
But
so much information that we have in our brains.
yeah.
So don't mind us again. And if you have any, points that you want to bring up that we might have forgot, or any
Yes.
things that we might have forgot that during the podcast at any point, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. Feel free to let us know. We already watched the first saga. Hopefully you actually just talk about the first saga and not anything else, in terms of so that we don't get spoiled. So
Yeah.
hopefully we could have a discussion. Maybe we missed some things, or maybe
Yeah.
we speak about something that you might have never seen somebody else talk about, and we could have a discussion about that.
Definitely. And everything is not going to be in perfect order. Like, we go do it by arcs and sagas, or arcs within this video. But, like, we're not going to say, like, oh, first this happened, then this happened, then this happened. I don't remember. We just going to talk about, what comes to our mind and what
points
stood out to us.
Yeah, definitely.
And the highlights of the arc.
Definitely. I think it's, and I feel like there's more of a freeness to that.
Yeah.
Like, as opposed to bang, 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 bang.
So this happened, and then he met him, and then, like,
that kind of gets boring. Like, we'll try to keep as close to the events that happen, but I don't want it to be like very robotic and we're gonna talk about this and this in terms of bullet points.
We're not that type of channel. We just a podcast channel. We just be chilling.
We're probably gonna double back a lot on certain points. Maybe you forgot something and you remember, and we're gonna bring it back up. So hopefully that's not too much of a problem. But we don't want to be, he did this and then he did that,
and then Luffy met him on the street. Like, no, we're
that's
not doing
very
that.
very boring.
But
next we have the Orangetown arc.
Yes.
This is when we get introduced to a few more characters. Again, we get more into Nami, and she kind of helps out. She's more of a, I'll help you out for now, but I'm not really a part of your crew yet. She's
on the fence with a lot of things, and we kind of were confused about her character at first, because we understand that she was good at stealing, good at manipulating, but we didn't know where she came from, why she was stealing, and why she was so good at manipulation. But
we do get into that, why she was doing what she was doing, and I think that's a nice tie-up. Everything we get to that point, I think they tied that up really, really well. But in this arc we get introduced to Buggy the clown, which that man is a very, very goofy antagonist. That might be one of the goofiest antagonists I think I've ever seen, but it's goofy in a funny kind of way. Not like in a goofy trash way, but a goofy funny. Because he obviously is strong, but his presence is just like, oh, he's a clown. So it's kind of like you don't take him as serious as some of the other, villains that we see.
And that's what I was going to say. I think they have him. It's so unserious because he's a clown. I feel like they play into, because they got the little. Well, I don't know if he had the animal. I know the animal is a part of his.
Like somebody in his crew team, had the lion monster.
And it's just like a circus act, So I think they play on the part of that. None of them are scary. It's just very goofy. I didn't really care for and I still don't care for him, but I was just getting you. I feel like the anime is just at this point just getting us used to different crews and world building, really.
Pretty much, I would say so. And I think they do a really good job of world building and building up certain characters. But we get a little bit more of an introduction to Nami. We the first couple episodes we just see her stealing and stuff like that. But we see that she why she doesn't like pirates. First of all,
I remember her saying
she does not like pirates. But she was talking about how she's a navigator and she's collecting these things because she's trying to collect 100 million berries.
Yes.
She was trying to collect 100 million berries, and we see why later on. But when we were just like, okay, she's just stealing the steel. What is she doing this for?
Yes. And to talk about that, now that I'm remembering, she did tell Luffy, or she mentioned to Luffy that she didn't like pirates, and she was I remember towards the end, or at least towards the middle of the arc, she was so confused about why Luffy was like helping out or like doing certain acts of kindness because I guess she wasn't used to it.
Yeah,
she was looking at him crazy, like, why are you doing that? I thought pirates were like savages, basically. So she was kind of gradually changing his mind during that small little arc, or she was at least thinking differently of him. I feel like she felt like he was a little bit more trustworthy than
a lot of other pirates she probably encountered.
Yeah, I don't think she necessarily wanted to manipulate Luffy like she did the other pirates and stuff like that. So she definitely showed, I feel like Luffy showed a different side to pirates or, you know, people like him. So.
Yeah, and I feel like Luffy kind of has that effect on like a lot of the characters he meets.
Yes,
like they are kind of certain or set in a certain way, and once they are introduced to Luffy, they get more of a change of heart in terms of seeing him, you know, be the type of person that he is, and what he's fighting for, or who he's fighting for, or who he's helping. You know, and they have a change of heart. He has they have a change of heart in terms of this guy he's different. He's not doing it, you know, the regular way that normal pirates are usually doing it. So I do appreciate that part of Luffy.
I agree. And I feel like a lot of them respect his determination as well. Because all of them, you know, we only spoke about, or we were only really introduced to Zoro and Nami. But I feel like even the newer people that were introduced, he definitely helps them have some sort of motivation or determination to their own goal. Yeah. It's like a true leader, I feel like. He already, in my opinion, he already a good leader, even though he just started out and he just formed this crew. He has a lot to, you know, mature in, but I feel like he's doing a good job so far.
So we also get a bit of Luffy's backstory. Why, and I think we actually got to the backstory before we got to Orange Town. When he was talking to Zoro was asking why that straw hat was so important to him.
Yes.
They go into the story of Luffy when he was a child and him looking up to Shanks. Shanks being a pirate that he
respected.
Yeah, respect. There's a heavy respect there. Yes. Shanks having, you know, his own crew and everything, and just seeing, you know, once that I don't even know what the pirate's name is, but him and his crew came into the bar and messed up everything, but
and disrespected pirates.
Yeah, they did respect they disrespected Shanks and everything. And Shanks just laughed it off. He was like, there's other things to be mad about. It's just whatever. You don't really, you shake it off, you laugh it off, and you keep moving. So we only saw Shanks really turn up when he was when that pirate was messing with Luffy.
Yeah, when his life was in danger.
Yeah, so you could kind of see the parallel there between Shanks and Luffy. Yeah. You know, when you mess with people they care about.
Yeah, that's when they activate.
All right, you'll have to stop there. And we also. Oh, my bad.
I'm sorry, but even before then, we gotta get into how he got his powers. Because when he was still in the bar, you know, I was about to call him Shanks. That's the name, right?
Shanks, yeah.
Oh, okay. But Shanks, he was basically telling, because Luffy always said he wanted to be the pirate king, I believe, or he wanted to be, you know, a very strong pirate, and he was just like, nah, you're not strong enough, you're not ready and stuff. Luffy actually did end up eating one of the devil fruits that was in the bar, so he wasn't even supposed to have the power that he have right now, which is crazy. So, I don't know. I feel like that worked out in his favor, you know, since he wanted to become a pirate. But it's just crazy how it happened.
Mm-hmm. And then we saw when he ate the devil fruit, that one pirate took him, and we saw that, you know, you can't swim when you have the devil fruit. So when he threw Luffy into the ocean,
he was about to die.
Yeah, Shank, that little monster thing was about to eat him up. Shank sacrificed himself. He actually sacrificed his arm, which is very crazy. I did not expect that. He sacrificed his arm to save Luffy, but that just shows how much he cared about Luffy.
But don't forget, he put fear into that monster's heart.
He did put fear into it. That monster was.
That monster was scared.
Yeah, definitely.
That just shows how, like, and I think Shanks is a very, very highly regarded pirate. So a lot of people, even now when we watch it, a lot of people always mention him, or like, oh, you know Shanks, and a lot of stuff like that, or, you know, they mention him a lot.
They're interested to see, because I think that's the last time we really seen Shanks, outside of maybe one more instance, but Interested to see how they build up Shanks more. If Luffy and Shanks actually meet up again, that would be very interesting, especially seeing as though Luffy is actually bigger now. Seeing that he is the pirate that he is now, and him becoming a better pirate, how proud Shanks would be in that moment, or him showing that, oh, you actually are doing what you set out to do, I'm proud of you, and having that moment. So I'm really interested to see when they actually have that meet up again, because I'm pretty sure it'll be an emotional one.
It will, but he's still gotta, because he made a promise to Shanks, before I think the flashback or whatever it was ended. He Shanks actually gave his hat to Luffy, and he said, you gotta get this back to me when you do become a pirate. So that is one of his biggest promises, and one of his biggest goals, to be able to give his hat back to Shanks.
You see how important that hat is, throughout the series. Once he was fighting Buggy, and Buggy, we kind of went away from Buggy. Buggy is also somebody that ate a fruit. He ate the chop fruit, which is a very nasty name for a fruit. The chop fruit. Yes. So we get introduced to the chop fruit, or just another fruit eater, I guess, a fruit user. I don't know what you would call it, but we see somebody else who has devil fruit powers, and he has the chop fruit. Yeah. We kind of when he does fight Luffy, or he wasn't even fighting Luffy, he was fighting Zoro. We see that he detached his body and all that. And it was like,
we thought he died, and then he just snapped back together. That was crazy. So he does have a ability of his own that makes him extremely hard to kill, I feel like, because if you can just reattach and detach, like that's crazy. I feel like all the devil fruits are very cool with and unique with their powers. So anybody that eat it, it's kind of like you get a little brokenness. Cause what can you do?
They are very strong.
Cause Luffy kind of broken. The way all the things, but we go talk about it later. But all the things that he can endure is crazy.
Yeah, we saw him endure a lot. He there should have been some moments where Luffy got clapped, but
it should have been up. It should have been the end of One Piece. But the power of the devil fruit.
Mm-hmm. So before we get into Luffy and Buggy actually getting into a fight, we got a little bit of a side story of Shushu, the little dog. I know you said the dog was ugly.
Don't say that. He is ugly though. That dog was
Shushu,
not cute.
the dog, and him regarding the pet shop
and his owner.
His owner passing away, and just fond memories with his owner, and just trying to protect the last bit of memories he might have had of his owner, and the pet shop and everything like that.
Yeah, that was sad, but the dog's still ugly though.
That's crazy. We see that, and then the pet shop actually was set on fire and everything, and that kind of turned up Luffy. He was angry because pet owner's shop is not alive anymore, and
that was something dear to the dog.
And then fast forward a little bit, we see Zoro get into a fight with that other crew member. I'm not too sure of what his name is, but
I forgot.
At first we were like, because Zoro actually got injured before, and he actually fought with his injuries, and we were like, Zoro, they making Zoro look kind of weak here. And I thought, especially with how people were talked about him, and maybe they're talking from experience, but the way people were talking about Zoro, it made it seem like he was a very, very strong, and maybe he is strong still, but the way that he was
we're not
injured.
saying he weak before the Zoro fans come on. We're not saying he weak in any way, but the way that he was introduced, how they literally the town feared him. They called him Zoro the Great Pirate Hunter. So I thought the way he looked intimidated. They had him tied up. I was like, oh, this guy, he looked nuts, and I thought he was gonna have. Now I'm not saying you gotta be broken. I'm glad I'll get to that later. I'm glad majority of the characters don't start off broken, but I thought Zoro would have been a little bit more skilled. He's still strong, don't get me wrong, but I thought he'd be able to fight. Now that
I'm thinking back on it, he was injured during that fight, so that's a little bit of I give him a little bit of leeway in terms of that. But we saw him use more of his three sword. And he actually used a special move called Onigiri, which is very interesting. And he actually was able to win that fight, even though he was fairly banged up. And then we get into Luffy and Buggy getting into their fight again, and Buggy damaging the hat and that making Luffy turn up even more.
That was crazy. Yeah. He Wolverine slashed the hat. Yeah, that was nuts. But we not on the other arc yet, or the other episode or something. When we looked at his hat again, it was completely repaired. Like, it had no slashes in it or nothing. What was that about?
I don't. And
it was like one episode where it was, or one part it was still messed up a little bit, and then the next scene it was good. Like, who sold it up for him? Who repaired that?
Maybe it's something that we missed. If there was like a little, maybe they explain that in the manga or something.
Maybe, because
that was very interesting.
Yeah, because we was like, what happened to the little holes? It was some big Wolverine holes in there, but
maybe we missed out on something. If you know how his hat was fixed, let us know. It's not too much of a thing that we're gonna gripe on.
We don't care,
but it was just very interesting.
We pay attention a little bit.
So looking back at the notes, again, we have notes here.
Yes.
I'm gonna look at the notes here, make sure we're not missing anything.
Yeah.
Nami.
Yeah, okay. We talked about Nami. We talked about her goals. We talked about the introduction of Buggy. We talked about Zoro fighting his fights, and things going the way they were going. The importance of Luffy, as far as his goal and everything like that. Him meeting Shanks.
Speaking of Shanks, I forgot to mention. Buggy, when he was talking about Shanks, he actually did mention that they were a part of the same crew when they were going through like pirate training or something.
Yes.
So they were comrades, and Buggy was talking about how he actually hated or he despised Shanks.
I think it was because he helped him, right? Buggy didn't like Shanks.
It was Buggy didn't like Shanks because he was the reason that he actually ate the fruit that he did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was because it's something silly.
Yeah, he disliked him because of that.
Yeah, so he actually holds a grudge against Shanks, and I think he said he want to kill him or something.
Like he hates pirates like Shanks. So.
Yeah, he don't like him. So that's actually a good point that I did miss.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot.
But after that, we see Luffy beat Shanks, not Shanks. Oh my gosh.
Whoa, alternative ending.
We see Luffy beat Buggy, and after that, we kind of see Nami join. She's still on the fence. She's like, I'll join you for now, but I'm not really joining that kind of thing. So,
but she was still a little bit confused about Luffy. She was like, he might not be that bad, but I don't know what he on.
So, moving on to the next arc, we have the Syrup Village arc. And this is actually, up to this point, definitely, and I know the other arcs were pretty short, but I actually really like this arc in terms of, them fleshing out a bit more. This was a bit longer compared to the other two, so it was maybe more of a watch, but I did enjoy this arc a lot more than, the introductory, and it is an introductory, so it's not going to be the most crazy things. I know a lot of anime don't have. I feel like, especially with One Piece, it's more of a slow burn in terms of their introduction. I feel like a lot of anime that I'm used to watching, they get quick, straight to the point in terms of their story and stuff like that. But
we see why it's a little bit slower, because they have so many episodes, so they can really describe it for as long as they want to when it comes to new characters. And they can
really build out the characters and really showcase the world that they want to build. So I really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
But in this new arc, we get introduced to a new character who we find eventually will join Luffy as part of the part of his crew. We get introduced to who I think is a actually cool character. I know he's more of a comedic relief kind of person, but I could see where his character is going. We get introduced to Usopp. The Honorable Liar is what I believe the title was. The Honorable Liar Usopp.
Yes.
So Usopp, we get introduced to him. He's more of a play on a boy who cries wolf kind of thing. The pirates are here. The pirates are here, and everybody's sick of him. Like, shut up! What are you talking about? And they wanted to bomb that man.
It definitely gave me Pinocchio vibes.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah.
When we were watching it initially, you were saying maybe his nose is like that because of Pinocchio on the line.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty cool parallel. I didn't think about that initially until you said it.
If it relates to that, if not, and they just want to make his nose long, then forget that. But if it's related to Pinocchio, and I think they do have little relations to certain characters, but we'll get into that a little bit down the line in this arc. But if it's related to Pinocchio, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool catch in terms of, because when Pinocchio lies, his nose gets longer. I think that was a nice parallel.
Yeah.
But we see, Usopp lying and all that stuff. We get introduced to his little crew. We got was it apple or pepper?
It was pepper.
It was pepper. He looks like an apple. It was pepper, onion, and carrot. Yeah. We get introduced to the Usopp Pirates. And they're a little cool crew, I guess. They played a little bit of a factor. Why you look like that?
Because like at first, I'm not gonna lie, he was throwing me off. He was like just because what they made it seem like he was just lying, like just to be like mischievous. I thought he was just lying to be goofy, and then he looked kind of lame. I'm not gonna lie, he was hanging around little kids, just lying around, and the village wasn't messing with him. So I was like, what's going on with him? But the arc does get better as you realize what type of character he is and what his purpose is. So at first I was like, he was losing me at first, but
so we get introduced to Usopp, and Usopp and Luffy kind of get introduced within each other, and Luffy actually tells Usopp that he knows his dad is a part of Shanks' crew. So it was, once he did tell him that, Usopp was interested to hear about his dad. Yeah. And, we find out that his dream is to be a great pirate, a brave pirate. So much like his dad, I guess, he wants to be a brave pirate. So, we kind of see that he is not there yet. That's why I said I kind of like his character, because you can see where his story is going. Yeah. But that man is a scaredy cat. That man he don't got that dog in him.
Not at all.
He don't got that dog in him.
And that's why I was mentioning when I said a little bit earlier that I like how some characters do not start off just super strong. He is a big character that don't start out like he barely do or know how to do anything. Like, he's very creative and fast. But only thing he had was a slingshot, and compared to the people they be fighting, that ain't gonna do much. He could at least have like a sniper or something, but he got that little slingshot. Down the line you see him, I say, have better fighting tactics. But at first I was just like, how is he gonna help them do anything? Especially with a person like Luffy and all he can do.
So we get into that. And then we get into more of, because we see once they were finished talking, Usopp said he had to go. Yeah. And we actually see where he's going. He actually goes to talk to this girl. Her name is Kaya. She's very sick after the death of her parents. Yes. She got into a depressive state and she became really sick. And then we kind of see why they play into the honorable liar. Yeah, he's not just lying to lie. Maybe he's in the beginning when he was saying the pirates are here. He was playing.
He was doing that.
He was being a little mischievous, playing around with the village and stuff.
But everything he doesn't always have ill intentions.
Yeah, as we see when he does talk to Kaya, we see that he's the only person that she actually laughs and feels better around because of the stories that he told, or the lies. It's lies.
They like tales, tall tales, and it's crazy because at first, when they flash back onto how he first got there, she was like saying, "Get away from my window" and stuff like that. She was not trying to be bothered with him, but after a while, she warmed up to him. So. It definitely was a shift. Maybe I guess she gained that trust in him, and she realized he ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah, he's not that bad of a guy, and she believed the stories. He was telling these crazy stories and these stories that they don't make sense, but
it was entertainment.
Yeah, pretty much, and it was bringing her light to her sickness and
her being lonely.
Yeah, and you see that the lies are honorable. The lies are, lies that are helping somebody and not just being, lying just to lie or lying to be a bad person.
Or anything. So it was just like telling a kid a fairy tale story like they believe in, anything. So, I respect that he actually did that to help somebody, especially since she was so sheltered. She had security around her, like a butler, like people cannot get close to her. So it was nice that she had somebody around her age to actually make her feel more humane. I feel like that was his role in her life, basically, to make her feel like a person, you know.
And then we also get introduced to their I forget what is the butler's name. Is it Kuro? Captain Kuro, I believe.
Oh man,
I'm gonna look it up. But, again, there's so much information that we had to take in.
Yes, and I'm bad with names. I'm just, oh my god, I try to come up with nicknames.
But I think it is, it's Kuro, Captain Kuro. We see the intro. At this point, we didn't know he was a captain or a pirate.
Yes.
But we get introduced to her butler. Her butler, once told Usopp to stay away, was saying some crazy things. That man, he was low kind of racist.
He said some real interesting stuff. Something about your kind doesn't belong here.
See, this is what happens. You resort to violence and stuff like that.
Right. Resorting to violence, are we?
Yeah, he was like, dang.
He turned into Karen right there. I was like, hold on. That was a little...
Yeah, that was messed up. But
I ain't like that. What he mean by your kind? And they calling him poor and like, of course you would steal. Wouldn't like... He was tweaking.
That man was questionable. But
I can't respect that.
We see Kuro and him not wanting Usopp around her and stuff like that. At this point, Luffy and everybody meets back up with Usopp. Usopp gets a licking. He shut your mouth. He
stole him.
Yeah, he did.
He got punched, but I think he end up looking crazy in front of Kaya.
That's why he said, this is what you're going to resort to, violence, huh? And that was crazy.
That was so police of him. Like, why he had to do that?
But as you see, we talked about it. Luffy, sticking up for people he actually, has a liking to or cares for. Luffy was about to turn up on him, but Zoro had to hold him back and stuff like that. But seeing Usopp get violent, she was
thrown off by that, and she actually believed the butler and stuff.
Yeah, the butler was telling her about when he first showed up to their house and stuff like that, and she should only really believe him and the things that he has to say, and not believe Usopp. And that's when she started to realize, okay, maybe he is lying to me, and these things that he's saying to me are lies and stuff. And that made her distrust him, which is very unfortunate because he was that light that she needed when she was very sick. So.
Exactly. Like he was there for her for a very long time, and for her to just flip like that, like I get that, she's supposed to trust the person that actually takes care of her and has taken care of her for a while, but like it was kind of sad to see, I'm not gonna lie, especially since Usopp really do care about her. So. And
then moving on, fast forward a little bit, we actually got Michael Jackson in that was interesting. I think Jungo.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, I guess.
He kind
of had a smooth introduction though. He came in moonwalking.
I was like, wow, man, this moonwalking through the forest, but he came in nice. I can't lie.
He came in smooth, but
came in stylish.
We get introduced to Jungo. But as we see later on, Jungo and Kuro are working together to take out Kaya.
Yes.
Kaya, being that her parents died, the house and everything, their family estate is hers. So Kuro wants to kill her.
Yes.
But before he actually does it, he wants her to sign everything off to him.
Yes, because she comes from a wealthy family.
Yeah.
So she got bread and he wanted it. Yeah. So.
And then
it's unfortunate.
We see that, but Luffy and Usopp are eavesdropping to see everything that's going on.
Yeah, they actually didn't know that they were Michael Jackson and Kuro,
yeah.
They didn't know that they were being spied on by Luffy and Usopp, and then Luffy went on and said that, hey, we heard everything.
Like, bro, read the room. That's the thing that we're talking about. Luffy does not read the room.
He do not read.
We heard you. Like, what are you talking about?
You supposed to play it up, not say nothing. he
said, did you hear anything?
And Usopp said no. He's like, nah, we ain't hear nothing. That person. Then Luffy go say, nah, we heard everything. We know you're about to kill her. Like
oh my god,
this
Luffy does not.
Oh my god, it makes for funny moments. But if I was Usopp, I would have. He can't do nothing.
You can't do nothing to Luffy.
He can't do nothing to Luffy. But I would have been like, come
really,
on,
really,
man.
like. But then we see from that point on that Usopp is telling Kaya this.
Yeah.
And he wants her to escape.
Yeah.
But she does not believe him.
She don't even believe him.
And then, the smack to the face.
Which was
very disheartening. It was very disheartening.
And it's crazy because he was trying to defend himself against the was he a sheep or that one guy?
It was a sheep. Yeah.
Remember he shot him in the arm.
Yeah.
And he was just trying to defend himself, and she slapped him. Mm-hmm. And he tried to protect her, I believe, because
he was trying to get him. He was trying to warn Kaya about Kuro. Yeah.
And then something ended up happening where she was like by the bullet or something, or I don't know, but I know he aimed at him and he ended up shooting him in the arm, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then she slapped him, so he just ran off. I would have ran off too. I'm trying to help you out and you slapping me. I just got shot in my arm. By the way, he did tank that. I give him that. He ate that. I don't know how. I wouldn't have ate that. I would have fell down to my knees. He would have finished me up, but luckily he did run because he could have killed him.
But after that, we do find out that Kuro was a pirate, and then within the Kuro and him being a pirate and Jungo, I know we mentioned this earlier, but when they did the flashback on him planning his death and everything that happened, he Jungo hypnotizing who I think it was Morgan. Yes. And to see that tie back into the beginning first episodes and why Morgan turned out the way he did, this is very interesting. I kind of like how they tie and go back to certain things and tie certain points up within each other. So I kind of like that and that flashback and everything. Then we get into the then we get into the fight with like, again, we're not going to go bullet point by bullet point. We're just going to basically give look at our notes and see what we wrote down and stuff like that. Yeah.
I also wanted to mention, I forgot when, but Luffy ended up getting hypnotized.
Oh, yeah.
And he ended up being put to sleep. Now, Luffy, I'm going to need you to do better. We still new, so I don't know if he get a little bit more street smart in general. I don't know. But to look into the hypnotizing thing is crazy. Luffy, you couldn't look the other way.
But he did it multiple times. He did do it multiple times. I guess Luffy just,
Luffy, you be losing me.
Luffy is very interesting. That's why I said Luffy is stupid. He has very stupid moments.
It's comedic relief, but in the scenario, if I was their teammates, I'd be hot. Yeah. Why did you look at the thing to be hypnotized?
But after the shooting, or they were patching up Usopp and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They offered their help. Zoro, Nami, and Luffy.
And don't forget the little kids. The kids was helping out.
The kids were helping. They were helping
at first.
We see Luffy and everybody offer up their help. We get into Kuro. Basically, I guess we'll say that they were fighting the pirates or his crew before they got into that fight, and they were showing up late because they were actually stopped by everybody, and then we see Zoro get into the fight with those two brothers or two crew members.
They were nasty.
They were nasty. I don't know what they were. They were gross.
They wasn't cooking with that design.
Not at all.
A lot of these oh my God, I'm getting so messed up because they were so disgusting. A lot of the designs, they were not cooking at all. That also, you reminded me about I'm gonna just call him Wolverine. Koro, the butler, he was also at the house. He had a chance to kill Kaya, but you do have to sign the paper. They got to get her to sign the papers, but he did have his little blades and things up to her neck.
Oh, that was after he took out the sheep guy.
Yes. Yeah. Well, what we thought.
Well, I thought he died.
I thought he died. He literally slashed him right across the chest. Yeah. So
he took out the sheep guy.
Yes.
And then once Kaya found him in the room, he actually told her everything.
Yeah, I was going to say that was very pivotal because he realized that Kuro was actually lying and what Usopp said was true.
Yeah.
They didn't believe him, but what he said when he warned them about what Kuro was going to do, he realized that was true because he tried to kill him. So. And
then once the sheep guy told Kaya, she started to realize that Usopp was telling the truth.
Yeah, and then that's when she, I think, tried to go to him?
Well, she went to like the little battle.
Yeah.
She did go there.
Yeah. So that's when she realized, oh, I messed up.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But we see Kuro get into a fight with Luffy. Kuro is cold-blooded. Dude was taking out his own crew, which was crazy. He said, "I don't need you. You're all weak," and he took out his own crew. I was like, "What the heck is going on?
What y'all killing us for?"
Right? What? They were just there. They were just watching the fight.
They was literally cheering him on the whole fight, and they said something to say and
he started taking everybody out. He did not care.
What his man said? What you trying to kill us for?
That was crazy. I did not expect that to happen. We just started taking everybody out. If you were in his way, you were gone. You were getting sliced up.
Usually the boss or whatever they would say something but don't act on it. He stood on that. He said, I'm about to kill y'all.
Yeah. That man was not playing around.
He did not have to do that.
Not
it wasn't even that. They was really encouraging him. I could see what they wasn't doing, and he got turned up. I forgot what he said, but that turned him up.
But yeah, just that happening. Then we see Luffy and him get into a fight.
Yeah.
The Usopp pirates, the 3 children, take Kaido away to protect her.
Yeah.
We see Jungo chase after them. Then we see Jungo get taken out. And then what else do we see?
It was a lot happening. You had Nami and Usopp. Usopp actually got very injured.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to fight, but it's only so much you can do with that slingshot. He had it was like a head, like he got hit in the head with something. I was like, ain't no way he lived that. He should at least had a concussion. Nami, she was so busy focused on the treasure. She didn't help out much from what I can remember. She tried a little bit, but she didn't really do much. Then you had Luffy get hypnotized again, so he was asleep for a little bit.
He was asleep for a little bit before he had to fight Kuro.
Yeah, and then Zoro, did he get maxed out? What happened?
No,
to him?
he did the fight with the things, the 2 crew members that were like cats or something. I don't know what they were. They were nasty. I can't even like.
I don't even
know. But
they were.
After that, Luffy does beat Kuro.
Yeah.
You see Jungo get beat, and then everything gets patched up. We see Usopp prepare to leave with Luffy and everybody. He patched things up with Kaya.
He got his closure basically, and we saw the touching moments of how he started off with the kids. I'm so sorry if we skipped so much, but we know that the kids did play a pivotal role to his development, and just helped him out a lot. Even in the fight itself, the kids helped get Kaya away for a while, and they did help. Don't think we sleeping on the children. We not sleeping on them. So we did get to see them before the arc was over. Just how Usopp met them and how long they've been together, and they were crying and stuff. It was a touching moment.
But before we get into the new arc, we actually see them get a new ship. The Going Merry, which is their first official ship as a crew, which is a very cool ship. It was gifted to them by Kaya, which is very nice.
Yes.
After seeing them save everybody and stuff like that. And then, after all that, we go on to the next arc.
Yeah, you definitely see her, say their goodbyes. It was obvious that Kaya wants to see Usopp again, and she said she wants to actually become a doctor.
Yeah, that was she wants to become a doctor. So I guess that's her dream.
Yes.
We'll see her become a doctor throughout the series, I guess.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I can't wait till they visit again. And then we'll probably go see the kids grow up as well. And,
oh, yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be with Kaya or take over the village. Or not the village. They're not even. I hope
help
they're not
around the village.
Yeah.
The protectors.
Yeah.
Protectors, per se.
Yeah.
But Usopp was saying, it's such a small village that it's so out the way that nobody would really mess with it. So hopefully they don't have that happen. But
it would be nice to see them again, though.
But just to tie up that arc,
was
Kuro was a very interesting protagonist. No, antagonist. Kuro and that whole plot twist was very interesting. Like I said, this was a bit longer compared to the other 2 arcs that we've watched so far. So it was a bit more of a interesting watch, seeing everybody, be developed and some characters being introduced and some characters also having that character development. Usopp having his moments of being brave and courageous.
Yes.
And seeing why, you know, he was so honorable, and the moments that, you know, people seen him as one thing, but, you know, he was just another thing.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into it, I know we're missing some things. We did see, you know, Usopp's backstory about his mother and stuff like that, and her dying and stuff like that.
I forgot about
again,
that.
we are missing some details. Hopefully, this is based off our notes, and us trying to remember things off the top of the head. So if we do forget some things, we do apologize again.
Yes, we did forget, or not forget, but we know that his mother did end up, you know, passing, and so did Kaya's parents, right? And
we talked about Kaya's parents.
And then her dad, actually, we missed this too. Her dad actually welcomed in the butler person because I think they were about to kill him or something. I don't know what they was about to do, but he actually welcomed them in, and you can see how caring their parents were. But they probably bonded a lot because they both didn't have parents. Mm-hmm. So I definitely feel like Usopp did a good job, and I feel like with this arc, this was the first arc that felt full. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because it's just a start, you know. Of course, the other two wasn't going to be a full arc. You just started off. Yeah. But I can definitely say from this point forward, the arcs get way more in depth.
Yeah, in terms of fleshing out characters. And
and their backgrounds.
Actually setting stories and having character development and building more world building. Yes. Like, that's probably the thing that I take away the most from this saga, the East Blue Saga, is their world building is a lot. It's very intricate compared to a lot of anime that I've watched.
Yes.
Like, you could really see the world building and it's crazy because we haven't even got to the
meat and potatoes. Yeah, like, we just starting off. Yeah. And it's crazy how, even though they introduced these minor or side characters, support characters, whatever you want to call them, like someone like Kaya, we got attached to her. Yeah. We didn't see her too much, but like, you know, seeing her enough made us feel for her. Mm-hmm. And like, we're excited to see her again. Same with the kids. Like, if anything happened to kids, I'd be sad because, like, you know, we got attachment towards them. So I feel like they do a really good job with mostly getting you attached to characters that's not even the main characters, and you know, helping us feel how the characters feel about whoever in the story, if that makes sense.
And I feel like that will continue throughout the series.
Yes.
You know, taking, you know, characters and building them up, because as we see, some characters do reoccur in certain parts, like in Buggy, and in Buggy's instance, you know, Buggy, we thought he would be a one-off person, but he actually reappears later on in this saga. So
a few people actually.
Yeah. So it's very interesting that they take the time to build the characters, because a lot of shows, you know, you'll have shows where they don't necessarily put that time into the characters. So I really do appreciate that within this. And taking the time to build out the world that they're trying to build out.
Definitely. A lot of times they either forget about the characters, or the character end up dying before you grow that attachment to them and you don't really care. Or you actually care about the character, but they just got written off, you know?
Pretty much.
So it's nice to see characters actually... It feels nice to have a connection to more than just the main characters.
So before we get into the next arc, the Baratie Arc, I think I'm saying that right. At first I thought it was Baratie. Baratie. Before we get into that, we kind of got into, you know, Usopp and him showing that he could draw and stuff. I didn't know he could draw. He drew the Straw Hat logo,
which is very clean.
It was very clean. I didn't know he was the one that drew it.
He ate that
clean. Up. We got into a little side thing. I don't know if it was canon or not, but Gaimon and, you know, I think it was Treasure Island.
Yeah.
And showing Gaimon and stuff like that.
With his animals and things like that.
I don't think it's too much of a thing that we need to get into. So,
but we watched it anyway.
We did watch it. But then we get into the Baratie.
They gonna eat us up.
Yeah, let us know if you're saying that wrong. We get into the Baratie arc. Before we get into that, we get a little bit more into Zoro's backstory.
Yes.
And how he when he was little, and him training with Kuina.
Yes.
Kuina being I guess, was she older? I think she was older, because she was bigger than him.
A little bit, but
she was a little bit older than Zoro, and she was very skilled as a swordsman.
Yes. They were kind of like in the... not a martial arts class, but that's what it felt like.
But for sword.
Yeah.
We get into that, and she was very strong because she was 2,000-0.
Yeah, she didn't lose no fights.
So she was very, very skilled.
She was up there,
Yeah.
and it's crazy, how everything happened, because this is us basically seeing why Zoro is so strong, or basically
why
seeing
he wanted to be stronger.
Yeah, why he wanted to be stronger, and how he even got skilled to the point that he is now. Because before, we just knew that he was strong, but we didn't know how it happened. So this was basically a explanation of what happened.
I think, again, this is another instance of One Piece being good in terms of, showing their characters and building them up. And a lot of times you see anime backstories, and I guess you could see why a character turned out, but I feel like they do a good job with this, especially, again, because when we saw Luffy, we saw why he wanted to be what he was. Or we see or moving forward, we'll see with Sanji, and we'll see with Nami when they get into their backstories, why they turned out the way they did. So I actually again, I do like that a lot about this series. But Kuina, again, she was very, very strong. It was unfortunate though, she couldn't be, her goal was to be the strongest swordsman, but her father told her, or her father was saying basically that she couldn't because she was a girl.
Yes.
Which is very unfortunate because she was very skilled. She was the reason why Zoro was getting stronger and why he trained so hard, because he wanted to surpass her. So they had that fight that one time, and he made her promise that keep fighting, keep getting strong, because
one day you should be able to beat me.
Yeah, one day, or he wanted to keep training so that one day he could beat her.
Yes.
And that happened, but very shortly after, unfortunately, she did die. And
I feel like that's real suspicious how she died. I don't want any spoilers, and I don't know if it was anything that happened that was foul play or anything, but they said she just slipped down the stairs one day and died. I don't know, like, and when the dad said it, because I think the dad was in charge of the I'm just gonna call it martial arts. It's not what it is, but I think he was in charge of the
dojo.
Yeah, he was in charge of it, or at least head of something. He has some power in that regard. I don't understand why he didn't have no sympathy. Like, he didn't show no emotion. He was just like, oh, she died. That's about it. Yeah, she just slipped and died, but it's whatever. Like, I don't know. That sounds a little iffy to me.
I'm not sure if they talk about it in future seasons, or if they talk about it more moving forward.
Yes.
That is interesting that you think that her father might have had a hand in her death.
Something is just not right.
I'm more along the lines of either she actually did slip, or she had an instance of which she took her own life because she couldn't achieve her dream. And just because of that thing, like she was, how do I say this? She was limited to something that she couldn't control. Yeah. Basically, she couldn't control her being a girl or being born a girl.
Yeah.
And
she was constantly proving herself and wasn't taken seriously despite her skill.
She talked about how it wasn't fair that she couldn't be the strongest because
of her gender.
Yeah. And maybe that was hard on her. And maybe, that accident did happen. Maybe that was what led to her, maybe, doing what or maybe that being the reason why she passed away. I'm not saying that that's true. That's just something that...
It's just theories. Yeah. I believe that over, she just slipped and fell. Like, that's possible, obviously. You can die anyway. But I don't just feel like she just... I don't know. I feel like she would have been more... You just slipped down the stairs and died. Like, I don't know. I hope we get to go deeper into that in the future, maybe. I don't know if we do. If we do, just don't spoil it for us. We got to get there. But just know now I'm suspicious. So I don't believe she just slipped down and died.
But we get into that and seeing why Zoro wants to be, or part of the reason why he wants to be this strongest swordsman. So that was a nice parallel and showing that. Then we get into the Baratie Arc, pretty much getting into that. Baratie being the restaurant at the sea. Before we get into that, though, we get introduced to Johnny, and I'm not too sure what the other guy's name is, but there were two bounty hunters that knew Zoro. We get introduced to them.
Yes.
They pretty much tag along for a little bit with the crew, and we get to Baratie. Baratie we see is a restaurant, and this is where we get introduced to Sanji. Now, to me, Sanji is my favorite character so far out of all of the Straw Hats that were introduced. I'd say him, Luffy a close second, and then maybe Zoro 3.
Yes, for me, I really, really like Sanji so far. I don't know if that had changed, and that goes for everybody in their placements and their rankings for us. It could possibly change. We still babies when it comes to this, so we don't know, what's gonna happen. But I like Sanji a lot. I think so far he's really cool, and his introduction was actually funny.
He had a really clean introduction.
At first I was like a little confused because I was trying to read him a little bit, but he was very hard to read at first. He started off embarrassing somebody on their date, a Marine.
He embarrassed that Marine guy who was on a date, and we see that Sanji is a simp. He simp over the ladies.
But he kind of smooth though.
He was smooth. He definitely was smooth. But we get introduced to Sanji. He was a sous chef for the Baratie. And at this point, Luffy is looking for a cook for his crew.
Yes.
So we kind of seen where that was going, but
it's predictable. Yeah. But he said he got his navigator. He got it. What is Zoro? Because his fighter, his strength.
I guess the strongest swordsman. I guess he
just
wants somebody who has the fighting prowess of Zoro. So
I guess so.
That's just muscle or strength.
Yeah, his muscle. That's what. Thank you for saying that. But I guess he said he got all that. Luffy like to eat. He be eating his
meat. His meat.
So
getting a cook was very vital. And we saw how hype he was when he wasn't even the person that suggested it though, because I forgot who it was. I think it was Nami. Nami was like, "We have this nice kitchen."
Oh yeah, because they had that nice ship. So they was
Luffy
like,
was like,
"Sure wish somebody can cook in it."
Yeah, Luffy. I forgot what Luffy said, but he did not say cook. And they were like, it was just something. He said something stupid.
Yeah, they was like, they basically alluded like, we need a chef. He said we need.
I forgot what he said, but it was something stupid. I forgot
Luffy be losing me. I love him though, cause he's funny to me. Yeah. But come on, Luffy. He said something crazy.
We get into Sanji. We also get introduced to Zeph. Reason why Luffy had to work a little bit is because he actually did damage the ship, and he had to be put to work.
Did he end up accidentally the
Marine shot a cannon at him.
Yeah.
He ricocheted up, or he used his bungee and then it hit the ship.
Yeah. So much. He was in debt to the chef that owned the ship. Yeah. So Luffy, he a respectable person. He was like, "Oh my God, I feel so bad. I gotta help you out. How can I repay you?" Basically,
he was trying to keep him. Zeph was trying to keep him for some time. Yeah, he was like, "Hey, nah, let's load that. Let's load that a little bit. I'll stay for a week tops."
I think he was trying to keep him for a month or 3 months, or something like long. And at first he was kind of working Luffy. I was like, why was he beating up Luffy like that? Yeah. But he eventually. Down the line, he agreed to let Luffy help a little bit, but we'll get to that a little later.
We see why we actually get an introduction to Zeph being a former pirate himself. We see why he was putting the work on Luffy. He was very skilled.
Yes.
Because back in the day, before he lost his legs and he was younger, he was actually a pirate, and he was regarded as Redfoot.
Yeah,
he was very skilled with his feet, and I actually was, when we were talking about it, once we found out what Sanji was good at, using his feet and not using his hands.
Yeah, because he is chef and things like that. That's a really neat detail.
It was a nice parallel. Yeah. Because we find out that Zeph is the person that actually looked up after Sanji when he was younger, up until he got older. So him basically being like that mentor to him, and him adopting that fighting style was very interesting. I actually really like that. It was so cute.
I love that actually.
But getting into that, before we get into that, we got to talk about Don Krieg.
Yeah, we got to talk about the antagonist that just barge in.
Don Krieg is the He's a tough
I
pirate.
think he the captain.
Well,
but before that happened,
he was a captain for his crew. But,
yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. But I was gonna say he was highly regarded because he had a wanted poster.
Yes.
So he was a highly regarded pirate who had a big bounty on him.
He did. And I was going to talk about I forgot his name, the other person that he was with. Because at first, the other person he was with, first of all of them were starving. I forgot why. I think they just got done fighting or something. Mm-hmm. Something with all of them were starving. But at first, before Don stepped in, there was this other guy that stepped in that he worked with. I forgot his name. Mm-hmm. But he was starving, and they didn't want to feed him, basically. The whole, everybody there was like, we not feeding him. But Sanji was like, I respect. Well, not respect.
No, he didn't say. He just said somebody's hungry, so I'm going to feed him.
Yeah, he said he a chef, and he go do what he do. He go feed people that their customers.
If somebody's hungry, they're going to get fed.
Exactly. So I respect that about him.
And then we also see why that kind of is a mindset for him. Yeah. It was that and not wasting food.
Yes.
He doesn't like when people waste food. So when you pair that and him wanting to feed everybody in his backstory, you kind of see why he adopts those, mindsets.
Yes.
But Don Krieg gets introduced.
Yes, and that's another person they did not want to feed. But Sanji I think he ended up feeding him, and Don turned up on him. Mm-hmm. He did he clothesline him?
Yeah, he clotheslined him.
He didn't have to do that, but they was like, don't feed him. They was basically telling Sanji and everybody else that he's very dangerous. Do not feed him. But Sanji was like, he had his morals.
He go eat.
This my customer. He crawled up in here. He go eat. He was on the I don't know if he was on the verge of death, but the other guy dragged him in there. He was like, please just feed him. So Sanji gave him food. He ate it and he turned up. He turned it inside out. Oh my God.
When we were on the ship, we saw that they had a bunch of wanted posters. I don't know if this was before or after they actually reached Baratie. But there were a bunch of wanted posters that were scattered around the ship. And Nami happened to pick up one that had somebody named Arlong on it.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't know who that was at the time, but she looked very, focused in on that poster. So we were kind of
very serious. Yeah. That's the most serious you've probably seen her the whole time. She was quiet. Her whole demeanor changed. And the other two guys, I forgot their names.
Johnny and I forgot the other guy's name.
Yes, Johnny and the other person that Zoro know. They noticed that. They picked up on it. It was like, why is she so serious about it?
And that actually led her to taking the ship to go and marry and they didn't know where she was going, but they did say that she stole the ship and she was heading to someplace. I think they actually didn't. She was heading towards Arlong.
Yeah, they knew where she was going because I guess they put excuse me. I guess they pinned the pieces together and
found out which direction she was going in.
And I think she ended up taking a treasure with her or something. They was like she took everything and took the ship and left. So that was confusing for us because we were like,
why is she doing this? Right. What the heck is going on? I thought she was messing with everybody.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting to see her just
tunnel vision to one place and leave, especially when it was such a pivotal part where Don did step in. He started turning up, and any help would have been nice, but they didn't have that from her. So and I think this was before Zoro got injured. Zoro was still good, I guess.
What you referring to?
When Don started turning up, because remember he was beating up Sanji.
This is before Zoro got injured.
Yeah.
But speaking of Zoro's injury, let's get into the next character that was introduced that seems like they're going to be important moving forward. We were introduced to the greatest swordsman, Mihawk. Yes. And Mihawk was very interesting in terms of how they introduced, because he was by himself and it looked like he was just wandering and
he was just being cool. Well, actually, it's a lot. He was just cruising, and then he started violence.
He did just start violence, which is crazy.
But before we get into them, I do want to go back a little bit on Sanji's story and things like that.
Because I think because they didn't get into Sanji's story until after.
Really?
Yeah, they did the Mihawk stuff. It was Zoro versus Mihawk. Mihawk disrespected the heck out of Zoro.
So that's why he ain't do nothing?
Who?
Zoro. Wait, okay, so when did Zoro and Usopp leave?
Because they did the fight with Mihawk. Then Zoro vowed to Luffy after Mihawk beat him.
I think
Zoro
I remember.
vowed to Luffy that he will never lose again.
Yeah, I remember that part.
And then Usopp and Zoro went on.
Yeah.
And then when they got into more of a fight with Krieg, that's when Sanji and Zeph.
Okay.
Because the guy who held a gun to Zeph was like, "Why are you fighting for this old man? Why are you fighting so hard?" And then that's when they kind of got into the backstory of Sanji.
Okay.
So we could touch up on the Zoro Mihawk fight a little bit.
First of all, his introduction was nuts. He came in cool with his own little ship. Then he blew. No, he slashed.
Oh yeah, he cut the ship in 3.
Yeah, he cut. I think Don's ship.
Yeah, his ship was into 3 pieces.
And Don's ship was huge. So for him to do that, we was like, "What?
Yeah.
Who did that?
Yeah, right.
What
We were
happened?"
confused.
And he just came in cool, cruising on his little ship, arms folded, sword. His sword is massive. I didn't even know that was his sword. I thought it was something on his little boat or his ship or whatever it was. But he came in. He definitely made his entrance. He made his aura and presence known. That he meant business. He's the greatest swordsman, and he was introduced as one of the warlords. Those are the people that I think that they protected by the government. I believe
the government allows them to do whatever they want.
Yeah, but for
because
money,
they're so strong.
Yeah,
the government kind of uses them for protection.
Yeah, okay, that's what it is. So, he had a crazy introduction, and how did that happen? Did Zoro challenge him?
Yeah, because he was the strongest swordsman, and we know Zoro's goal is to be the strongest swordsman. So you got to challenge the number one.
He tested his luck,
and he didn't even fight him. He fought him with the little dagger.
He took off his chain.
He took off his dagger and fought him with the little dagger. And once Zoro charged at him, he stopped him with the little dagger.
He said, "Why would I fight a fly with the cannon?" And he put down. He didn't even pick up his big sword.
That was
took off his chain, baby sword.
That was disrespectful.
Oh my god!
They made Zoro look. They made Zoro, and I think I get it. You got to make the greatest swordsman look like
him, and you got to build up because Zoro, him starting off strong would have been weak.
Yeah.
But oh my god, the baby though, he could have had a normal sword or at least a dagger, so like
but once he did use his normal sword, he saw what he did to him.
You know what? I respect Zoro for having confidence, but I definitely think this humbled him.
Yeah.
Because he was confident.
Yeah.
And he was like,
And that's not even it. He broke his swords. His other 2 swords.
He broke his swords. And then he didn't even, like, as we were watching the fight, the other guy not the other guy. I don't want y'all to get turned up. Mihawk barely moved. He was just dodging gracefully. Zoro was trying, okay? He was trying to kill him. It was just nothing he could do. That little sword stopping him was crazy.
But I think them humbling him so early is going to be good because we see now who the strongest challenge for him will be.
Yes.
So we see, how he has to train up to get to that point.
Because
we saw that. He saw that with we saw that when he was younger. He was getting beat up on. He was getting humbled. And he trained to get as strong as he is now. So it really is only going to make his potential stronger.
And motivate him.
Yeah, to be even stronger so that he can be somebody that whooped him like Mihawk did.
I definitely feel like it was a reality check for him. Like, I'm not as strong as I thought I was. Hey. I'm not cooking.
Yeah.
Like, he is, we not calling him weak. Don't get turned up. He stronger than a lot of people. But to the top where he want to be, it was no competition.
Yikes.
And he almost got killed. He slashed him. He didn't cause that I believe that's the iconic scar on his body. I think. Don't quote me, we ain't get that far, but he made a permanent mark and he slashed his face. Now, I will say I give Zoro props for still fighting. He could have ran. Sanji told him to run. He told him to stop fighting. But he was like, it's a respect thing. It's his honor. It's like
pretty
pride, As a fighter, you can't just run away. Yeah. So I respect that. He went out sad, but respectful. You know?
And then again, he vowed to Luffy that he'll never lose another fight. And that's honorable, you know. That just is gonna make sure he trains more and gets stronger. But after that, we get, you know, more into Krieg versus not necessarily, because Krieg versus Luffy were watching, you know, the fight go on between the chefs and I was about to say Arlong's crew. Wow, Krieg's crew. That kind of went on, and then we saw that one guy hold up the gun to Zeph, and then we kind of get into why, you know, Sanji has such respect for Zeph, and when he was younger, and we kind of get into, you know, them having similar goals, and why that is so important as well, because Zeph actually sacrificed himself, or not himself per se, but he sacrificed a lot to actually protect and save Sanji. We see that, you know, he is known for being Redfoot. He's very known for his feet.
He was an honorable pirate.
He had to, you know, cut one of his legs off to save Sanji. And we saw them when they were stranded on that rock, that you know, Sanji thought that he had food that entire time, but it turns out that he didn't have any food at all. He gave all of his food to Sanji, all the food that he had left. So it made Sanji respect him even more, and you kind of see, like, you know, the things that, you know, Sanji values, you know, feeding everybody who needs to be fed, or, you know, not wasting food. You know, those moments where he didn't have food, or food was very scarce, those kind of play, and that's again another thing when we were talking about, you know, them tying, you know, points in their characters' past and seeing how it shapes them out to be who they are today. And I think that's another good parallel. And seeing as so far Zeph is probably the only, at least that we've seen, Zeph is the only father figure to Sanji, and seeing how much he actually did for Sanji just made him have a respect for him. And we see why he actually is wanting to save him and sacrifice so much for him. So them going into the backstory was very, very nice, and tied up a lot of those things.
Definitely. And I want to go back to the part where you were saying that, you know, he thought he had food and he ended up didn't having food. That made Sanji feel very guilty. He was just saying, like, why would you do this stuff for me? You know, he was just questioning why he did the stuff for him. And that's when they shared that they did have a common goal, in that Zeph. You know, he wanted, at least, because he said he lived his life, he lived a long life, he was older. He said, at least if I can't live my life, or I can't achieve my goal, I at least want you to be able to do it. And I feel like that is why Sanji felt like he owed him so much, and why he was so loyal to the restaurant. I also want to go back to the Mihawk fight. I remember that Luffy actually stopped the other two guys from jumping in, and he let them fight. And I think Sanji or somebody was like, well, why you not helping? Or we wondered that ourselves. But it's nice to see that Luffy does respect people in their moments. Like, he let them fight. I feel like he would step in if he felt like somebody was going to die.
Yeah.
But he let people have their moment. He not just one of those people that feel like they always got to say today and insert himself. So
especially when it comes to their dreams. Like, you know, Zoro's dream is to be the strongest swordsman, so you know, kind of taking the backseat, because we know that if Luffy steps in, he could potentially pose more of a fight than Zoro did.
Definitely, but that's still they thunder, you know. So I respect that he stepped back and let people handle their business.
Yeah.
Unless, you know, I do feel like he would step in if, you know, it was dire, but he let people have their moments. So I like that.
But getting more into it, probably going to fast forward a little bit more. We get past the Sanji, you know, backstory. Then we get into Krieg versus Luffy. Krieg is not my favorite antagonist or villain per se.
Not at all.
He's not my favorite. I feel like he was hyped up a little bit too much, because he did pose a little bit of a fight, but you know, it was pretty. I'll say out of all of the antagonists or villains that Luffy has fought so far, he did pose most of a threat. But it was like, I don't know. I didn't really have that much of an attachment to him.
Not at all. It was nothing redeeming about him that made me. If anything, it was more about the other guy. I wish I remembered his name. I might look it up. The other guy had more of a redeeming factor about him. Like, if he was the main villain, I would have felt more for him. But the main guy, Don, Craig, whatever his name is, Krieg. I'm sorry, I said Craig. Krieg. He was very obnoxious. He turned on Sanji even though he gave him food. His men were about to die. He knocked off some of his men because they said something that didn't agree. He even knocked off some of his own men and crew members. He was just very erratic. I didn't have no. I didn't care about him at all, really.
Yeah, and once Luffy took him out, I was kind of like, okay, he was strong, but I didn't really care for him like that. But
not at all.
Other than that, again, going back to Sanji, we see Sanji. He was very stern on not wanting to leave because he felt like he still owed so much to Zeph, and Zeph actually wanted him to go that because he wanted him to. He felt like that was the only chance for him to go and achieve what he wanted to in his life, which was to see the All Blue. So he was pushing for Sanji to join.
They even acted like they made a whole little skit, like acting like his food was bad.
Trash. He said, "Nah, he was really it was good. It was good."
Luffy was eating. Yeah. At first, I was very skeptical about Sanji and the other chefs. Like their relationship seemed a little odd at times, but you could see how much of a community / family they were towards the end, and how they all wanted him to go achieve his dream, not just Zeph. They all wanted him to just go ahead because they knew he was stubborn. He wasn't going to do it if they wanted him to stay. I mean, they probably did, but they cared about Sanji a lot. And you can tell that everybody was crying at the end, and it was really nice. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
But that's that arc. Again, that's probably my favorite arc thus far. It's not my favorite arc of the entirety of it all, but thus far, that's definitely my favorite arc.
I enjoyed that arc. I love
introducing my favorite character so far. I really do like how they went into his backstory and introducing a lot of pivotal characters that are going to be important moving forward. But we have a few more arcs to go. I know this has been a long one, so hopefully y'all are sticking around.
Yes.
But this is one of our longer podcasts, if we're being completely honest. So
yeah, it's just so much packed into this, one little saga. It's all the arcs. We gotta get as much as we can, and we still missing stuff. Like y'all probably gonna be like, "Oh, but you guys didn't talk about this." Like, we're sorry, we can't make this like 3 hours long, but we are enjoying it, and we were paying attention. We had the notes to prove it. Okay, we ain't missed nothing on screen, but we might, accidentally
miss over some things.
Yeah. So
but that's where the discussion happens.
We discussed it down below, and then we can tell you how we felt about certain moments. But we tapped in though. We paying attention. We actually enjoy it.
Moving on to what is probably both of ours, our favorite arcs of the entirety of the East Blue Saga, and we are moving on to the Arlong Park Arc. The Arlong Park Arc. Yes. Now I heard a lot of things about this arc. I heard a lot of people say that this was a really good arc in terms of One Piece, and I'm not too sure where it will rank because there are a lot of arcs in this anime. But in terms of it being one of the first arcs, I think it is a really good arc. Again, it does a good job of the character building and world building. I think it probably is the best in this area of the saga, I'll say. But just again, we get over I guess we could be like the quick notes of One Piece over here. But again, starting off with this arc, we get an understanding of who Arlong is, and we get an understanding of fishmen. Yes. And how strong they are. They made it a known fact that fishmen are crazy.
They're not to be messed with. And I think a main point or the main goal for the fishmen was to basically get treasure. Like they were weren't they like pirates, or they were bad, but the Marines ignored them too. Like
because they couldn't do nothing to them.
Yes, they couldn't do nothing, and they also would get a piece of their treasure too. So they were profiting off and benefiting off of the swordsmen. Like they were working together when they were not supposed to. So we learned that the Marines are not very, but they a little crooked. You know, they be doing stuff that they not supposed to be doing.
And we did find out about the Marines being more crooked when they introduced and talked about the 7 warlords.
Yes.
And how they used the 7 warlords for protection and used they would just let them do what they want if they paid a certain price.
Exactly.
And stuff like that. So we get a bit of the Marines corruption a bit, and this beginning portion of the Arlong Arc. But in this arc we see Nami. Nami actually visits back to her hometown.
Yes.
At first we were kind of confused because when we were introduced to Nami in the beginning, she seemed very cold. She seemed very like on edge, and she pushed that little kid to the ground and said,
just
"Don't
threw some
belong
money
here."
at them. Yeah. And then, the plot twist for us when she walked up and they already knew who she was. We
I
was
was like, what? How do you know her?
Because it's clear that they were not good guys.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that they were comfortable around her and she was acting evil and stuff. We was like, is Nami a traitor? So that was crazy to see. I think, is that when she revealed her tattoo too?
I think that's when her tattoo was revealed.
Showing or something. Yeah, that was we were thrown off. We was like, what's going on? So that started off the crazy start to the arc, just seeing that. And then you had Usopp and Zoro. Zoro was severely injured. And Usopp was on his way there.
Yeah.
I don't know if this happened right after that. I'm just, thinking about what was going on. You had Usopp, the other 2 guys, right?
No, it was just Johnny, because the other guy was with he was with Sanji and Luffy, because you remember they fought that big bull monster thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So he was with that guy, or Johnny, and he was with Zoro. They end up flaking on Zoro.
They hold him.
Now at first, Zoro was free, but he wanted to fight somebody. He wanted to fight something, and they tied him up.
I think he just wanted to approach Arlong and them head on.
Yeah, and they was like, no, we're not doing that. And then you're injured. We're scary. We're not doing that. And then I think a fisherman or the fisherman, somebody approached him and they just flaked on Zoro. They left him on the ship, which is crazy to me. They left him for dead. That's kind of sorry on Usopp's part. Well, really both of them, because the other guy's supposed to have known him. But that's sorry on his part, because that's supposed to be your crewmate and you just leave him out to dry like that. I don't know. That was kind of crazy.
Oh, his name is Yasuko.
Yasuko,
yeah.
The other one, I'm not gonna remember that. But yeah, that was crazy. I was like, y'all really left him out there. They could have really killed Zoro since he was injured and everything. But
we kind of saw, the fishmen and how they look. And outside of Arlong, I would say is the only clean looking fishman. He had fits on.
Yeah, I don't know if he like Tyler the Creator, but he looked like he be inspired by him a little.
But those other fishmen are yucky looking.
The octopus one, I hate the way he looked. Make me crawl. The rest of them look nuts, but you can definitely see when it first started, I think that's where we seen all the fish that's going to be involved. You had Usopp and Zoro and them approaching, so we had them coming into the picture. And then shortly after, Sanji and Luffy joined with the other guy, but not at first.
We actually seen Usopp. I forgot what the town was, but the town looked crazy. Everything was upside down and everything.
Yeah.
And he actually met up with who we found out is basically Nami's stepsister or sister.
Yeah.
Sister.
They
basically they grew up together.
Yeah, they sisters.
We meet Nojiko?
Nojiko.
Yeah, Nojiko. We meet her and she saves Usopp from the fisherman that was after him.
Yes.
And then once they kind of talk to each other, she explains how she knows Nami and
yes, their relations.
Kind of goes into their relationship and everything like that.
Yeah.
Then we see once, because I believe they relayed some information to Arlong. I forgot what it was. And then Arlong and everybody went to that town. We see him trying to. Oh no, it was because what is his name? The guy with the pinwheel. I forgot his name. They were like,
I thought I wrote his name down.
Did you? Hello.
I don't think I did. His name is something.
It don't hurt to look.
Nah, it's not. What was his name?
I forget.
Oh, I don't. Oh, I feel like I just. I know it.
Hey, we gotta remember the names, y'all.
I'm so sorry, y'all.
But they did when they found out that he was bringing in weapons. So Arlong thought that he was doing a rebellion, or they were planning a rebellion against him. And then that's when what's his name? Usopp. Oh my gosh, Usopp. I'm trying to find it and then talk at the same time. Genzo. It was Genzo.
Oh.
It was Genzo.
Genzo. Okay.
Yeah, it was Genzo. We saw Usopp, and this is again part of his character development that I'm pretty sure we'll see moments like this. He actually was being courageous and brave.
Yes.
He actually helped him because it looked like Arlong was about to kill him or something. And we saw him take or throw a bomb or something. I don't know what that was.
I don't know.
But he was shaking in his boots after he did it. But we saw Arlong get angry. He was about to destroy everything. But they had to hold him back and take him back.
Yeah. Is that when they captured him?
No. We actually forgot. At this point, Zoro was
captured.
Yeah, he was captured, and then they brought him back. And then at that point, Nami freed him. Yes,
and they were like, why did you free this person? Because wasn't they about to drown him and she went down to get him or something? Or something. He was about to die. Yeah,
he purposely went, or I don't know if it was purposely, but he went to the water and then she saved him.
Oh, something. I forgot.
She saved Zoro.
And they were just like, why? Why would you do that?
And then she said she'll take care of him, and then she freed him. But then when they did capture Usopp, wow. When they did capture Usopp, we saw that Nami still had a little bit of, care for these people.
She wasn't just knocking them, because she could have let Zoro die, but she didn't. So we were aware that she has something we didn't know about when it came to her personal life, but she wasn't just cold-blooded either. She wasn't just letting them die.
When they actually did catch up to Usopp and captured him, we saw that they were about to kill him. But we saw Nami kind of stage at this point, because we thought that she actually stabbed him.
Yeah, I thought she was going crazy trying to prove herself. So we was like, no.
Yeah, what is going on? But we actually did see later on that she stabbed her own hand.
Yeah.
And planned, a fake death.
They was acting like WWE, and then they was he flopped in that water like The Rock. I really thought he was done for it. The title of the episode was even like Usopp is dead, or Usopp is dead.
I was like, what did they talk about? You just started to get into Usopp.
Yeah.
So she did. So her planning that out just kind of shows more that she cared about the the people that she was became acclimated with.
Yeah, but we didn't even know that until Usopp himself explained it, because I don't know if it was an episode or two where they didn't show him, or at least like for a minute they didn't show him, so we really thought he was dead.
But Johnny actually, when he met up with everybody else, he actually said that he thought that Nami killed him.
Yeah, because it looked like it.
And it turned out that he wasn't dead. So
he told Luffy and stuff. And he told
and Luffy was like,
Zoro.
Luffy was like, nah, no, she didn't. Luffy actually believed that she didn't, and that shows that Luffy actually does have some sort of care for her, because he knows that she wouldn't do anything crazy like that.
Yeah, he had faith in his people. So at first he was trying to convince them, and then Usopp ended up coming, like a little bit right after that conversation, and he was like, "Oh my God, you're alive! What happened?" And he told him about Nami and things like that.
And then a little bit after that, we see Nami go back to her hometown, and then after that, a little bit after that, we see her actually getting to her backstory as to why everything happened and why she actually was a part of Arlong. Oh my! I am just saying all these names wrong. Arlong's crew. We get into her growing up. We actually see who raised Nojiko and Nami. Bellemere. We actually see that she was a part of the Marines, and she took care of both of them when she found them during a war. I think it was a war going on, but
something they got attacked or something, and they were like the only two people left.
Yeah, that were alive, and Nojiko found baby Nami, and she vowed that she would take care of them, and she did. we see that Bellamere was a tangerine farmer.
Yes.
So she's
That's how she was funded after, because I think she stopped being a Marine in the Marines when she started raising them, and that's the only thing that funded her at the time. Her and the family was the farm, and sometimes it got rough because I think it was a nice season or something they mentioned where they had a lot of competition basically, so they'd be a little bit more low on money, so. They was in a rough patch for a little bit because of different factors.
I'm not sure if this was mentioned earlier, but was there a point like earlier in the season where Nami talked about tangerines and her liking tangerines?
I don't remember,
but I don't know, I might be wrong, but I think it was sometime earlier in the or in the season where she mentioned tangerines. So now that I'm thinking about it, her and tangerines actually have a parallel with each other, and I never really realized it until after. I might be wrong, but I could have sworn that she mentioned something about tangerine. But getting more into their backstory, like you mentioned, they were pretty poor, so it was very hard to come by money. Then we see Arlong and his crew actually come and invade their village, and he put out a thing where if you want to stay or if you want to be alive, you'll have to pay a certain price, and I think it was 100K or 100,000 berries. I'm saying it like money. 100,000 berries for adults and 50,000 berries for children.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
Because he just came out of nowhere. He made a new rule, and everybody had to follow it right then and there, or they were dead. Even kids, which is nuts.
So we see that they are poor. We saw that it would be very hard for them to
be able
maintain.
To afford that.
So
yeah.
Once that happens, Arlong, and it's kind of crazy because she would have got away with it, but they saw the smoke coming from the house, which is very unfortunate because
it's crazy. It was so many factors.
Yeah.
It was the smoke. It was the plates on the table, everything. And they were like the people in the village, or not even the people, but I know the doctor, I forgot his name, and what was the old guy name with the spinny? We just said his name.
I done forgot that.
we just said his name.
What is his name? Why is his name so hard? Genzo.
So Genzo and the doctor guy, I forgot his name, they were trying to protect Nami and her sister because they knew that they were there, and they tried to hide them, but they end up running back to the house because they tried to warn their mother. But by the time they warned her, or by the time they was already on their way up there, the fish guys were. So it was up. It was really cool to see Bellamere, have that marine instinct. You can tell her skill. I don't know how she knew that the fish guys were there, or not even the fish guys, but something was off. I don't know if the kids usually bust in there or make noise or whatever, but she was prepared out the gate. Yeah, she had her shotgun. She was ready for them.
So we see that, it was either her or the children that were going to die pretty much at that point. And she pretty much sacrificed herself.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate because Nami and Nojiko had to watch their mother basically just die like that. And then once that happened, we seen Arlong take Nami because I think it was one of the fishermen. They found a map. And they were, Arlong was impressed by the map.
Yes.
He took Nami because she was a good navigator.
Yes, and she was young and impressionable too.
We actually seen that she was a good navigator because she stole the navigation book.
Yes.
And we kind of get more into her story and
her
goal, what her dream is basically.
Yes.
And she wants to draw a map of every place that she has gone to.
Yes, or will travel to.
Yeah. Arlong takes her captive, and we see that when she comes back to her village, she has money, and she actually has an Arlong tattoo on her.
Yes.
Basically, saying that she's a part of his crew and stuff like that. So it's very unfortunate for a young girl to go through that, but she was basically saying, if somebody like Bellamere, if you live a life like Bellamere and still die, what's the point of doing that? Why not just do what I'm doing and make money and then live? So that was kind of heartbreaking to see.
Yeah.
But I don't think we touched up on this. Part of the reason why Nami was stealing a lot of things throughout parts of the series was so that she could collect 100 million berries, so that she could buy her village back from Arlong.
Yes.
And that's kind of, a way of, honoring Bellemere and just giving back to the place that she grew up, because they were under Arlong. They couldn't do anything.
Or to her younger self. She was stealing from a young age, but she was stealing because they couldn't afford it. So, her mom scolded her for it, but she was just saying, I did it because I knew you couldn't afford it. It was just tough for them money-wise, and they got into a big altercation, actually, that we, left out, because basically Nami was saying that you're not my real family. She was saying you're not my real sister, you're not my real mother. That kind of made Bellemere click out, It was kind of sad to see that. But it was a nice segue into why Bellemere cares so much about the children, and how, she didn't have to do what she did. She didn't have to take them in. So it showed how much heart Bellemere actually had. So,
but moving along, we get more of into that story. Then we actually get into Arlong and Luffy getting into the mix. Luffy actually he could have died in this arc.
Yeah, same with Zoro and Sanji.
Yeah, he was actually underwater. Because he cemented his feet in a little part of during the fight with Arlong, cemented his feet. He got thrown into the water, and as you know, people who possess devil fruit powers cannot swim.
Yes,
so he could have definitely died there.
He could have been maxed out.
We actually see him and Arlong get into a fight, and one of the better fights, I'll definitely say, within the first saga. One of my favorite fights, him versus Arlong. We see Arlong kind of turned up. He was getting very, very angry, and when they were actually fighting up until the point where they got into Nami's room, and I actually really liked this part of the fight, or this part of everything, pretty much. Oh, and prior to this, I want to say this again. We see Luffy give Nami his hat, his straw hat, and I was talking about how Luffy really trusts her, because that hat is so important to him, and for him to have given it, or to put it on her head, shows that he really does care and will fight for somebody like her
and trust her. Yes.
So to trust her with something like that just shows her the relationship that they've grown to have in such a short amount of time too, which is crazy.
It's crazy. I'm thinking about it. A lot happened, because the only reason that happened is because her sister ended up getting shot. And she thought her sister was about to die. And that led her to feeling very helpless. I think they took the money from her.
Oh, yeah, the Marines, yeah.
Yeah, the Marines came. They raided the house. They took her money, and they shot her sister. Now, they were about to shoot Nami, but her sister stepped in and ended up getting shot. We thought she died. I guess Nami did too, and she was crying about it, and she was just basically pleading like, Luffy, I need help. And that's when he clicked, because at first Luffy wasn't really stepping in to fight the fishmen, but when he saw that vulnerable side, and not only Luffy, it was Sanji, Usopp, and Zoro. They saw that, and they it clicked. Yeah, I don't know if it was like, minus Sanji, I don't know if it was like a brotherly protection that they had, but they felt like they needed to step in, and they did. And
then I forgot, speaking on the her berries getting taken away, we kind of see more of the corruption within the Marines working with Arlong, because we see that Arlong was the reason why they went to go find her berries in the first place.
Exactly.
So he wasn't even going to honor the thing that he wanted with Nami.
He was going to break his promise regardless. And we got introduced to the rat guy. I don't know if he going to be important, but he basically
nasty.
He don't have no remorse. He shot and didn't care who he shot. So that's what led up to them actually, Luffy fighting Arlong, and Zoro and Sanji fighting his henchmen and things like that. Zoro risking his life again to fight. He was severely injured already, but he kept fighting. Sanji, we saw his wits a little bit, I would say, with the fight. He figured out how to, because he was about to drown, but he was like, he got gills, he won't be able to breathe while I breathe into him, all that stuff. So that showed how smart and maybe a quick thinker Sanji is, And then we saw the final big fight, Luffy. Oh, I forgot Usopp too. You know, he
Oh,
did
yeah.
what he had to do. His little tactics with him playing dead and stuff, and him being able to run and outsmart, you know, the henchman he had to fight was nice too.
Yeah.
You basically saw the fighting styles and their mindsets.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
And seeing how adaptive they are in certain situations.
Yeah, it was really nice to see.
But going back, I know we're all over the place with this, but again, we did mention, you know, but kind of just everything, you know,
yeah, it's like it's flooding into our minds, as
and it's gonna get even crazier because I know this arc was only like 61 episodes around, or this saga, I would say, sorry, but some of them have hundreds of episodes, and that is gonna be crazy. So,
well, you think we looking at notes now?
Shoot, but. In some of these, we might have to break them up into certain parts, like part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
But again, we are sorry if everything's all over the place. We're just trying to recollect everything.
Yeah.
Well, this is our first one. We promise that we'll get more organized as things move forward with our notes and everything like that. But going back to the Luffy and Arlong fight, as they were fighting, they actually head up into Nami's room, the room that she wrote all of his maps in and everything. And we see as Luffy finds out that that's the room that she was held captive in, he starts to rip everything apart and break everything. And Arlong is confused, like, what are you doing? And I kind of was talking to you, or when we were watching, I was like, oh, he's kind of breaking her free from the prison that she was basically in.
Yes.
And you know,
and then shortly after, that's when Luffy.
We actually see her crying, and then she says thank you.
Yes.
And it's basically just saying thank you for freeing me from, you know, the prison.
Shackles.
And we see that, you know, her dream is to create maps of places she's been, but all of her life she's been making maps for Arlong,
and doing stuff for other people.
Not for her. So she wasn't fulfilling her dream. Like, she is a navigator, she's a great navigator, but she wasn't fulfilling what she wanted to.
Yes, so it was for somebody else's gain, you know, personal gain. And Luffy actually did say, you know, he was freeing her basically from being attached to him and every negative connotation around, you know, that everything around that. She was just,
and that's just another instance of Luffy, and we were talking about this with the Zoro fight, was Luffy allowing his crew members to fulfill the things that they want to fulfill, you know, fulfilling the dreams that they have set out for themselves.
Definitely.
So that's again another admirable thing for Luffy to, and again we talk about Luffy being silly and him not reading the room and stuff like that, but
and being blunt and being goofy, but I do think he's a good leader.
Yeah, for him, he cares about the people, his crew members. He actually cares about the things that they, you know, have set out for themselves. And you know, he still has his own thing. He's still gonna, you know, put himself, you know, in some sort of forefront, but he's gonna also make sure that his crew is good too. So in that aspect, I do believe he's a really good crew or captain. He is a captain.
And I was saying a little earlier, like, at first Luffy wasn't helping, but Luffy does allow people to have their own business. I said this before. And I feel like he allowed them to figure themselves out. And I like that. He take a step back and let people, you know, do what they need to do or want to do. And he respect them for it. And I like how he come in the right time, basically. So I like that a lot about Luffy.
After that, finishing up the Arlong Luffy fight, we actually see Luffy beat Arlong, which is crazy because, you know, the way the fishermen were hyped up. It was a really big feat. That's probably Luffy's toughest test so far. I know we talked about Don or Krieg, I'll say. We talked about him. But Arlong's definitely the toughest fight he's had so far.
Definitely.
So for him to actually beat him was very, very, very nice to see.
It was cool. I liked it.
And then after everything, seeing that, you know, Nami's village was actually free from the shackles of Arlong.
Yeah,
had a big celebration and everything like that.
They was partying for days, sleeping on the street. That was crazy, but it was really nice to just see Nami be happy with her family and the closure that she got because she went back to her house. It was nice to see the closure of her basically talking, even though she couldn't see her, but we saw Bellamere. She was there listening. It was nice to just see her, like, feel accomplished, that everything she did wasn't in vain. You know, she finally get to do what she want to do. She decided to leave with Luffy and join the team, but she didn't leave them, you know, just empty-handed. Well,
I mean,
I don't know.
she stole everything.
She stole stuff, but she still accomplished her goal, and she
Yeah.
was free. And then you could see at the, before she left the house, she was pushed outside by Bellamy's spirit, and that was basically her,
No closure.
Yeah, that was her saying, just go ahead and live life. That was nice.
And then, she also got her Arlong tattoo patched up.
Yes.
And her tattoo was the pinwheel and the tangerine. So basically, seeing the father and mother figure to her life.
Genzo. I remember his name. Yes.
Seeing them basically, her honoring pretty much them.
Yeah,
with
that was basically
very,
her mom and dad. Yeah,
giving them that was a nice touch as well.
Yeah,
but after that we see them embark on their next journey, their next arc in this story. I know this is a long one, but hey, if we gonna get into it, we're gonna get into it.
But before we get to that, I did find something interesting at the end, towards the end of that arc. The stealing part was funny, but before that, Luffy actually encountered Genzo, and they were at the grave, and he was basically warning him, like, if you do anything to Nami, it's up for you. So I don't know if he gonna be checking in on Nami, like he gonna be a reoccurring character himself, but he meant it, like, yeah. And it definitely showed him being a father figure too, but I don't know. That was an interesting
thing to say.
That's an interesting thing to slip in there, because that didn't have to be included.
Before we actually get into the Loguetown, we actually seen something very pivotal. We seen Luffy, and we saw the Marine Man again. He called in on these little snail phones. Those things are hideous.
They were cute though.
We actually see him say that, Luffy is now a wanted man.
Yes.
Dead or alive, and he actually had a 30 billion, or was it 30 billion? 30 million.
Yeah.
30, I said billion. 30 million berry bounty on his head. So, I think a mark of being a well-known pirate is the fact that you have,
big bounty on your back,
on your head. Yeah.
And I think he had the highest bounty from what I've seen
so far.
Yeah, because we saw, I think it was Don.
We saw Don and I think
Buggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he actually got one. His is so cute. Yeah. But we actually got to see him, and his is high. So now people, wherever they go, and it spread fast. I don't know if that's like their social media or whatever, but everybody know who he is now, and they look that. It's kind of bad now because he got a target on his back. So I don't know.
And that's what they were saying. They were like, I think it was Nami. She was like, now everywhere we go, you're gonna have a target on our back.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be crazy, a crazy dynamic. But before we get into Loguetown, I want to kind of go into the Buggy side story a little bit because it is kind of important, I guess. We get into Buggy and him heading. He was out to sail. He was on that little island that we saw Gaimon on.
Yes.
The little treasure guy.
At first they was boxing.
Yeah, they were, and then they bonded together.
Yeah, they were boxing, and then they were kind of evenly matched. But then, Gaimon found out he was a pirate too. And he's like, "Oh, you a pirate? Yeah, we're friends now." the little animals he had was dancing around them and stuff, and they actually did bond.
They had a bond, and then we saw this mysterious woman.
Yes.
Who I don't know who that is. They kind of alluding to who it is.
Yeah.
But they didn't necessarily say who it was. We get a glimpse into her. Then we see Buggy's crew talk about who's going to be in charge again.
Yes. They were like fighting about it and things like that. First they were grieving him because they thought he was really dead. It was just cute. And then they were like, okay, we got to see who takes over. And then the little lion tiger thing ended up being the captain. It was just like goofy.
And
we
then
didn't take it
Buggy
seriously.
met back up with his crew, and then at that point Buggy met up with that mysterious lady.
Yeah, because she saved him.
Yeah, and they decided to work with each other to take out Luffy.
Right. They had a common goal.
Yeah, and that's how we get into Loguetown, which is the last canon arc of the first saga, which is crazy. We've been talking about this for a minute.
Yeah.
We get to Loguetown. Right off the bat, we get introduced to a few characters. We get Smoker. He's part of the Marines. Smoker seems like he's going to be a big player moving forward. He
seems very intimidating.
Very. Very intimidating. And we also get introduced to Gold Roger.
Yeah,
Gold Roger, who
Roger.
was the Pirate King, the former Pirate King.
And that's the reason that, because we kind of skipped over that, the reason why Luffy and his crew is there is because Luffy wanted to see where he got executed. The Pirate King got executed. Yeah. So that is the place where he got executed. So that's why they traveled there, because Luffy was very curious and infatuated with the idea of everything. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why they got there.
The former Pirate King and how he was executed and where he was executed at.
So that's the first time we even from my knowledge, that we got a name, a little slight face, and we getting introduced to these new important big characters. And they kind of alluded to the fact that Smoker, Captain Smoker, he might have a devil fruit that he ate.
A devil fruit power, yeah.
Yeah, they were saying that his power is really strong, and it could be devil fruit. I don't know if it is. We ain't there yet, but he might be, and then stronger than we think.
We see everybody kind of get their own side stories.
Yeah, they had a little. Now some I feel like was important than others. Like Sanji didn't really care for. I don't think it was important.
Usopp's too. I feel like Usopp was more of a, talking about his dad and him being him facing. I guess him being courageous in that moment, because that bounty hunter, I'm calling him McCree. He's McCree from Overwatch.
Yeah, that's another person we were introduced, and his daughter as well. Because she stole his glasses or something. He was out shopping. Nami was out shopping. I don't really know if theirs really mattered, but I know if anything, Luffy and Zoro's mattered, because Zoro, he ran into this girl. Her name was Tashiki. We thought it was Rowena? Karina. Excuse me. Karina, yeah. R.I.P. my girl, but we thought it was her. He thought it was her. They looked just alike. Like literally, if she would have got older, they looked alike. They had the same skill as far as being
good swordsmen.
Yeah. And he thought it was her, but he was trying to figure it out. He didn't know for sure. I guess it's not her.
Yeah.
But she does resemble her a lot. And I don't know if Zoro will have some sort of attachment to her because of that, or see her in the future, but they kind of alluded to maybe they will. So that would be interesting.
And then, Zoro, him looking for 2 new swords.
Yes.
His fighting style is 3 swords, fighting style. So he does need new swords.
Yes.
And then we see him go into the sword shop, and the one guy trying to heckle him out of his sword.
Yeah.
And Tashigi,
she snitched.
Pretty much snitching on him. And
she said that sword worth red. And he was about to get scammed. Yeah. That person, they not from Detroit, because they would have got scammed.
And then since Zoro didn't have that much money, he basically looked in the barrel for one-off swords that weren't as strong, but
he needed something in his arsenal. So
you see that he finds a cursed sword. And then within this cursed sword, the man was not trying to sell it to him. And, Zoro was speaking on. And I hope they kind of go into this more, because this is the first time they actually really talked about it. Zoro and his luck. Zoro's luck. And, if his luck was stronger than the sword, then the sword wouldn't attack him or, take his arm out. And it didn't. So he was able to get 2 new swords.
Yes.
I'm interested to see how they play into his his luck a little bit more moving forward.
Definitely. I wonder did that already contribute to some of the events that already happened? Like, because when Mihawk slashed him, I wonder like what he would have died if he wasn't so lucky, or stuff like that. It piqued our curiosity a lot.
But going from that, again, we see where we get Smoker. We see Luffy talk to the old bartender guy.
Yes.
And he was telling him about gold. And
Roger,
how he saw gold in Luffy.
Yes.
And seeing as though because Luffy wants to be the Pirate King, Gold had the same ambition and stuff like that. So the old bartender was like, he didn't respect a lot of pirates, because a lot of new pirates, they aren't
they don't have that job. And he was saying that the bartender guy was saying that he don't really like Smoker because Smoker has scared a lot of new pirates. He was saying that he killed a lot of the current pirates like ambition or like motivation. I don't know, like he basically making everybody scary. But the bartender guy saw that same courageous and uplifting spirit in Luffy, that they saw in Roger. So that was really nice.
So going from there, the little side stories again. Sanji, Usopp, Sanji meeting up with the chef lady. Him getting that fish that was from. They didn't say it was from the All Blue, but basically it was. They were saying it was from. Was it South? No.
South Blue.
South Blue. Was it South Blue or North Blue?
They mentioned South Blue, but he was just saying something related to All Blue.
Yeah,
that reminded him of it.
Because
something.
When he was younger, they were explaining, that certain fish come from certain blues.
Yeah,
if All Blue exists, but the chef guys were saying it doesn't exist. And stuff like that,
they did mention South Blue. Yeah. I remember. So.
But that fish he saw, I think it was the tuna. He saw in the book, that it actually turned out to be true, and he won the cooking competition.
Yes, he did end up winning.
He won the fish. But going from that to Luffy actually sees, the place where, Gold was executed, and from there we actually see that everybody that was plotting Buggy and the mysterious woman,
they were watching him for a little minute,
and they actually captured him.
Yes.
And they were planning to execute him
right then and there.
Gold was executed on. And the lady was alluding to, like, Luffy, you don't remember me, you don't know me.
Yeah.
And Luffy's like, no, who are you?
Right. He's like, I never seen you before.
We were like, we didn't know, but after she said that, kind of like, okay, this kind of is the person. And I was like, how did that person become that? Or how did she become that? But, they kind of explained that she did eat a fruit herself.
Yes.
And she ate the smooth fruit.
Yes, y'all probably wondering who we're talking about. We didn't even say her name. What's her name? Alvina, the girl we saw in the very first episode, the big girl. Now she's complete. She has a completely different look. Apparently, she ate the smooth devil fruit. Now she just smoothing out.
Yeah.
And I guess she's just still being evil. So it's nice to see her again. But we were like, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know
they were gonna go back to her. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know like there were fruits like that, like that can change your whole appearance.
That's crazy.
That's actually
that's
cool.
Actually gonna be interesting to see moving forward.
Yes, I love that actually.
Let me give a little shout out to the Panda guy, Panda Man. I actually looked it up. Apparently, Panda Man is like a Easter egg kind of thing. So I'm definitely gonna be looking out for Panda Man.
We love Panda.
Like, is that a panda in the back?
Is that Jujutsu Kaisen Panda? Okay. But nah.
But the Panda Man. Shout out to Panda Man.
That panda's cute.
So we see that they capture Luffy.
Luffy was about to die.
He was about to get maxed, but then Buggy, being the goofy character he is, gets struck by lightning
out of nowhere.
And then Luffy gets
freed and
then
saved.
We see everybody trying to just run away, go back to the ship. We already see Nami and Usopp on their way there.
Yeah.
But on the way, we see that Smoker and everybody is on their way to get Luffy.
Yes, they were chasing him down. She used her smooth feet. That sounds crazy, but she used her
feet. Is crazy. But she did use smooth feet to get
She
away.
was gliding. Yeah. That was clean. That's so cool how she can use her power. I guess everything on her smooth, but they was chasing him down basically, and they was trying to escape. Some type of storm came. I don't know. They were trying to escape, but I think Smoker did end up catching up to them at least. I don't know about the others, and he was about to fight Luffy. Yeah.
No, they actually did have a little bit of a fight. They were fighting, and we actually seen that Smoker has some sort of, I don't know if it's I don't know the name of the fruit, but he actually does have a devil fruit power. We saw that when he used the smoke to catch Buggy's crew members and stuff like that. So we actually seen Smoker was doing some damage to Luffy. And I feel like outside of Arlong, that's probably the first time we actually seen somebody get like some good licks in on Luffy. Definitely. And then the mysterious green poncho man. I don't know what that was, but pretty much saved Luffy.
He created some type of whirlwind tornado.
That was crazy.
Hurricane. I don't know what he did. I don't know what that was. That was very Mickey on your part, One Piece. I'll let it slide because I like Luffy and Zoro. But that was very Mickey. I don't know what happened. What was that mystical being? And
that
he was like,
crazy.
Yeah, I say Luffy. Like, who are you? That's your dad? So who is that? That was crazy. He had a angel on his side.
I don't know who that was.
Who was that? I mean, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah,
but like
that was
nuts. Like, come on, y'all. He was about to get maxed out. He was like, oh, not yet.
The Smoker is he mean business.
I like he actually feel like a real, like Buggy and them goofy, but he feel like somebody. Feel like a boss. Yeah, he feel like a threat. So
but,
I'm excited to see him more.
Yeah, definitely. We see Luffy and everybody get back on the ship. And from there, we kind of see everybody talk about their dreams again and what they're trying to accomplish.
Yes.
And then from there, we get into the next arc, which is I forgot what it is, but it's the non-canon arc. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. We did not watch that yet.
We gonna watch it, but we was like, let's get this out. Yeah,
we wanted to get to the main points, and I'm pretty sure like the filler arc would be good to, get more of an understanding of each character again.
Yeah, their personality.
I don't think that it was important to watch necessarily.
Yeah. I know it started off with a little girl. She was obviously powerful and running from the Marines, I believe. That's all we seen. Yeah, but we go finish it. Don't worry. Don't yell at us. Don't cut us up.
You definitely gotta go back to watch.
That's my favorite character. Like we go get Sir. But
that's it. We
having a lot of fun watching it.
I will say, I was scared for multiple reasons in terms of watching One Piece. First, the episode. 1,000 episodes is just, that seems crazy. The animation, the old animation, I will say, like, it could be kind of hard to get into, but when I was watching it, it kind of just reminded me of a older cartoon I was watching. And I'm not saying that One Piece is a cartoon per se, but it kind of had that nostalgic feel of I'm watching a Pokemon or
definitely
like a older anime,
Inuyasha type, something like. I would definitely say like old Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon type.
So it did feel very nostalgic in that sense. But again, I feel like with their characters and their world building, it is getting me hooked. I am probably I'm more interested in seeing how the series turns out than I might have ever been in the past couple years. So I think it's pretty good so far. I can see how a lot of people like it. I am very interested to see how they flesh out more of these characters, because if they can nail the character development down, this might be up there. I can't lie. For me at least.
I definitely say I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's really nice to see, because I'm so used to a lot of fast-paced anime that I've kind of been spoiled with it, so it's nice to see an anime that takes it a bit slower, unlike how older anime used to. Everything feels so fast now, like boom, boom, boom. Short seasons. People dying off every new episode. It's nice to actually feel some connection with the people. Actually, I feel like if I would have grown up.
With the show,
it would have felt like that, because I felt like that with Naruto. I grew up with it, and it holds a more sentimental value for me.
And I know you were talking about that, how when you build characters up, you feel a sentimental value to them. So if something does happen to them, you're like, dang,
it mean a lot.
Yeah. As opposed to like newer stuff, and you were saying like if a character dies, it's just like it happened. That sucks. Yeah. That's crazy. But,
I ain't saying no. But certain animes, people just die and you be like, well, dang, you didn't get the time to develop. So I am happy about that. It's nice to see these characters, and I don't know. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this, because it's a lot of potential. It's a lot. Like, many people, so many plots, so many characters that might know this character and work with this character. And they got 1,000 episodes. So it's a lot.
We only this much into the series.
We 10% done.
No, I don't even know that.
5. we not nowhere near done, but we're excited for the journey. We are actually having fun, and I enjoy it a lot.
Definitely.
I enjoy it. So
I know a lot of people talk about how the pacing is slow for the first, but I kind of feel like they get leeway with it because it is an introduction. You can't just expect these characters, especially with how long it is. You can't expect these characters to be built up,
Right.
and be have some sort of feeling to them if you don't take the time to build them up. So
Especially with all the world building that's involved with this, you gotta build up all these parts. I think we are only on the east.
yeah,
So
they haven't even hit the Grand Line yet.
right, they're not even at the Grand Line, which is very important. That's where I guess where everything go down at. Everybody want to be at, but it's the east, the south. Apparently everywhere, all the east, west coast, and all that stuff. So we just starting off. We don't know what else is out there, who else is out there, but we're excited for it.
And that kind of makes me just think of the perspective. We have only been in this small section of the world.
We only had New York.
New York is crazy. New York is crazy.
Yeah.
This is only like such a small speck into
Small
this
margin.
vast world. So I'm really interested to see how they flesh everything out.
Yeah.
But before we end this podcast off, I want to do this every podcast where we rank the Straw Hat members.
Yes.
So from here, we only have, I believe it's 5 so far. Yeah, 5. Because you have Sanji, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Luffy.
Okay.
So far we only have 5. I want to rank them every time, and I know the Straw Hats get more and more, in size.
Their numbers go up, but
so
each
time we do this, there'll be more and more people added to the list. But,
and depending on what happens, they could be ranked differently, the same, or higher.
Mm-hmm, definitely. But
you want to start off?
But we'll do our own separate list.
Okay.
But okay.
Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah. I was gonna do that regardless.
So first up, we have Luffy. I'm gonna have to put Luffy in S.
Luffy S for
I'm
you.
gonna have to put Luffy in S. I feel like again, he is very doesn't read the room, very silly kind of guy.
Yeah.
Very blunt, straightforward guy. But when it matters the most, and he needs to care about his his crew and allowing them to achieve the things that they want to achieve, I feel like he's very admirable in that. So I would put him S. He's a very solid protagonist so far.
Okay. Do you want me to put?
Yeah. You should.
Okay.
You do Luffy.
For me personally, I'll put Luffy in A. And I'll put him in high A. Only reason I put him in A is not that I don't like him. It's just because he do be putting them in more danger than what they have to be in, because he's very blunt or a little reckless. And I know I said I like that he stepped back sometimes, but sometimes I be wishing that he stepped forward just a little quicker. Like they be about to die before he stepped in, and that's very dangerous. So I wish that he had just stepped in a little bit quicker. That's all.
Okay. All right. Next up, I'm gonna go in order in which they join.
Okay.
So next up we have Zoro.
Okay.
I'll let you go first here.
Zoro, I'm gonna rank him an A too.
Okay.
It's not that I don't like him. It's just that I thought he was going to be a little stronger. I'm not saying he weak. Zoro stands, don't get on me. But I thought he was going to be just like an assassin type of character. He's cool. I can definitely see that he's getting more humble as time go on. But it's nothing that he's done that make me put him in S. Other than the fact that he a fight to the end. I give him that. Mm-hmm. And I respect that. So he a A.
Okay. I wouldn't know how to put Zoro in A as well. I wouldn't put him in S. I feel like we did get a little bit of his backstory, but as compared to some of the other characters, I feel like they have a little bit more fleshed out backstories. And it's not to say that he wouldn't get a more fleshed out backstory moving forward, but
exactly.
He kind of got more of a, or at least I feel more sentimental value in other backstories as compared to his. Like his, it was unfortunate that, Kurina, she did die. That was very unfortunate. But other than that, we really just see, him wanting to be strong and wanting to be the strongest swordsman, as opposed to everybody else who has that, sentimental value towards their backstory. So I'll put him in A. But I could definitely see him, as he gets stronger, being a S tier character.
Yeah, definitely.
He's like A. He's
on
this
the
close
cusp.
to S. He's like this close to S.
But
so.
I don't know. I need more from him before I rank him higher. And then
next up we have Usopp.
Oh,
no, because Nami didn't officially join.
Okay. If we go do Usopp, and then I'll put Usopp B. Now, Usopp is cool. Don't get me wrong. I feel like if anything, he is the most normal character out of all of them. I would say he was probably made to be a relatable character. Um, he I want him. I feel like he'd be better once he get more brave. He still do what he can, but like the fact that he sold Zoro like that was crazy. Like he could, I know he couldn't do much, but he could did something. He adds a nice touch to the show. He adds some realism because I would be scared too if I was him. But I want to see a little bit more development from him.
Okay. I would put Usopp B very, very close to A for me. I know Usopp is used for comedic relief, but I feel like there's a lot more to his character. Him, and I agree with you in saying that he is very relatable in terms of, you know, all these crazy things going on. I actually see him as a complete opposite to Luffy. We see Luffy be courageous and brave, and you know, Usopp is not courageous. He's not brave in certain situations, I'll say. Yeah. He's very, you know,
he has to psych himself up. You know?
He's very realistic in that aspect, because if you were faced with these situations,
you'd be scared. Sea monster.
Yeah. I'd be scared too. So I understand why he's scared a lot of the time. But again, you know, with his character and, you know, the story that's being told with him, I could definitely see him stepping up in certain situations and becoming that character that, you know, I do come to like a S tier kind of character. So
definitely,
I would definitely put him in B, but high B, not A just yet, but I'll put him in B.
He got potential, and I do value his creativity as well. Like when he fights, it's very creative, and I guess that maybe ties into him being an artist. It's really cool to see what little tactics and tricks he'll do to, you know, get the job done.
All right, next we have Nami, and then I'll do Sanji last.
Okay.
But yeah, where would you put Nami on the tier list?
I'll put Nami B as well. Her backstory really redeemed her character, because at first I thought she was just a thief, like some Catwoman type stuff. Her backstory is really nice. It showed her bravery and showed, you know, her determination and the selflessness she had to take with taking that burden and doing all that stuff for her family and her village. But even after that, she's still a little iffy with me. Like, she be being mean to the boys sometimes. I be like, what's going on? But it's nothing too bad for me. I think she a solid character. She not my favorite though, but she a solid character.
I would put Nami in B as well. You know, when she first was introduced, you know, she was just showing us like that thief, but them going back and tying all that into her backstory and why she actually is doing it and why she was stealing for her village to buy the village back is very selfless, and I respect that about her. She did have her moments where she was just like very weak to me, I guess, but it was all for a purpose. I can't blame her for it. Because there was a bigger purpose for her to do what she was doing. So I could respect that. I definitely could.
And last, we have Sanji. Now, Sanji, for me, so far, is personally my first S, my only S. And I really enjoy Sanji. I enjoy his backstory. I feel like he's a perfect, healthy, like, all-around character. I was going to say medium. He not mid, but he a perfect, healthy, like, all-around character to me. I don't find nothing wrong with him. I know he's a simp. He got the Brock effect, but other than that, he's very respectful. He values the people close to him. Well, I don't know if he's respectful to Zoro. he talking down a little bit, but he really does care about the people that's close to him. He is humble enough. I feel like he's been through a lot, so he values certain things. And I just feel like he cool. He not weak. He do his part in fights. And he's smart. You know, I really hope they get into his wits a bit more. But I like Sanji. I feel like he cool. I really enjoy
I would definitely put Sanji in S as well. When Sanji first introduced himself, I thought he was clean right off the bat. And like you said, he's a very well-rounded character, I feel. And him and his backstory with Zeph and pairing that together, really seeing that respect that he had for him and what he did for him and his selflessness and him feeding people and him having the morals that he has based off his experiences, I think it's really cool. Outside of, again, him being a simp, because he is one, let's be honest, I think he's a really clean character. So I'll definitely put him in S right next to Luffy.
Yeah. I guess every good character has to have a flaw. I guess.
Exactly. It's not a perfect character.
It's not perfect, but I enjoy him a lot.
Yeah, definitely. But this is the end of our East Blue Saga review.
Yes.
I know it's been all over the place. It's our first time kind of doing something like this.
We apologize. We'll try to get more organized as time go on. We will be doing more. You know, we hope you guys enjoy our reviews. You know, tell us if you agree with our opinions, how you felt about certain arcs and certain characters and things like that.
Definitely. We want this to be discussion based. So if you want to bring up any discussion points, any thing that you might have interest in terms of our thoughts that we didn't necessarily get into, feel free to let us know.
Yes.
We're definitely looking to, and if there's something that we didn't touch up on and that we might have missed, definitely feel free to let us know. This is our One Piece journey, so we want to get into this thing as much as possible. And again, we're just watching the anime right now because I feel like that's so easy to digest. But once we get to the point where we have to, we'll get into the manga and seeing, you know, certain things that we might have missed or certain things that the anime doesn't show and how that ties into the story that we've watched so far. So again, we are just starting. If we miss some things, please show us some grace. Please, we beg of you.
And please, you know, have grace with other people in the comments. You know, a lot of you guys have seen One Piece, but you know, we want our comments to be very respectful. No matter if you agree with somebody or don't, you like anime, you don't, you like a character or don't. Let us know why. Let other people know why. Just share your opinion and don't be afraid to. It is okay. Like, and don't be mean about it. Okay, like everybody just. You know, just share what your thoughts are. We're curious about it.
But I know this has been a longer one, so hey, if you made it all the way to the end,
we respect you.
Hey, we appreciate you.
Thank
if you could
you.
leave a like, if you could subscribe, you know, share with a friend who might be a One Piece fanatic. You know, feel free to share along. If you like our commentary, hopefully we can, you know, keep this going. I know that there's other anime that we haven't watched that we plan on doing this with as well.
Definitely.
So, you know, subscribe, tune in. We do podcasts every Friday.
Yes.
It's not just One Piece podcast, but we do podcasts and talking anything anime. So
all anime.
Tap in. And we really appreciate each and every one of you who have made it to the end.
Yes.
So from Anything Anime, we're gonna see you guys in I think it's the Arabasta saga. The Arabasta saga, I think, is the next saga. So we'll see you when that happens. I think there's like a lot of episodes to that, so it's gonna be a minute, but we're gonna get through it. We'll get there, we promise. But from Anything Anime, we appreciate each and every one of y'all. Peace.